All right, and I have started the recording. So one of the big questions right off the bat is about the Utherbot and first of all, whether or not it's working, but also I think it'd be kind of nice to just put on record right now exactly how our dice works, so that it can be read cleanly and easily. So normally we would not see /high down here. We would see the results of a roll. And so in Fluid, when we roll dice, we are looking for successes, which is usually defined as the better 50% of what the die can do. So on a die 10, which is what we roll, we're looking at 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Or 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. 6 and better as a success. And if it's 5 or lower, it's not a success. And there'll be a certain number of successes we want to get. But there's also this thing called pips. So if you have pips, pips can be spent to increase the result of a die to get it up into a success. So you might have a bunch of, nice 9s, 8s, and 7s, and 6s, but then you've got a 5, and that 5 is not a success. But if you have a pip, that pip can be added to the 5 to make it a success. And the Utherbot does these calculations for us. It automatically spins pips in the optimal way, such that you get the most number of successes and tells you the result. I would love to get a result back on the screen to talk about the color coding, so that viewers can do that.
Are you mentioning thresholds later?
Yeah, I'm going to cover that in a bit.
Cool.
Okay, I have scrolled up to a previous roll here so that we can see the result. So here was a result where Ed, or Echelon, rolled 8 dice, because that was how many dice he had for his skills and aptitudes combined. We can see the numbers that the results came up at. He had 2 8s, a 5, 2 3s, 2 2s, and a 1. There's not a lot of successes there. But we can see in his roll, he rolled 8 dice with 2 pips. And so the Utherbot spent one of those pips to turn that 5 into a success. The natural successes are marked in green. The unnatural success, the success created by pips, is marked in yellow. And then the failures are there in gray. So for those who end up watching this video later on Twitch or on YouTube or wheresoever, that's what all that means. And somewhere, somehow, I will eventually attach a link to our rule set so that the rest of the rules can be explained. I'm trying to find an example of somebody who rolled something with a threshold in the history.
Tice did, shortly before the one that you just referenced.
Ah, yes, so he did. Okay, let me scroll up to that's right before his wondrous food picture. There it is. So this is an example of somebody rolling with an improved threshold. So normally the threshold is 6, meaning you need a 6 or better, but some of the rules within our system lower the threshold, making successes easier on your dice. This is probably the most powerful bonus that can be granted. And Tice managed to do some absolute shenanigans to get that bonus to apply twice on this roll. So his threshold went from a 6 to a 4 meaning 4 or better is a success. So only 3s, 2s, and 1s would have been failures. And as we can see, all of his 9s were successes, as were his 8s and 6s, but then this 4 was also considered a success. The 3 was not, but he also had 8 pips, so it immediately became a success.
You also had there's a roll that you had on July 27th that I think might be a great example, where you had 8 successes and 5 of them were aided by pips on a 4 threshold, or on a 5 threshold, that I think could be a good example as well.
How far back was that?
July 27th. There were a lot of rolls in that session. This one's kind of towards the end, but there are a bunch of pip aided and threshold aided rolls that session.
Was it 3 of them that were aided by pips? Oh no, I found it. There we go. 5. Yeah.
That one, I just pasted a screenshot into our group chat.
Okay, so yeah, here's that example where I rolled 8 dice at a threshold of 5. Didn't actually get any 5s here, but when spending pips, that 4 only needed 1 pip to become a 5 and meet the threshold requirement, which is one of the reasons why thresholds are so powerful. Is they affect all your dice, whereas pips only affect 1 die at a time. And thresholds not only improve your results, but they also improve how many pips you need to get things done. It's just, yeah, it's very, very strong. We've intentionally written the rules so that I'm pretty sure threshold 4 is the most you can get without special exceptions such as Haley. I know I just threw that like without any context, just threw out a character from another session, another adventure. No context at all. Who's Haley? You'll have to find out.
Hey, Jackie's here.
Hey, Jackie.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yep. Okay, cool. Is it still going?
Oh.
Oh, that looks sick.
How is this shit working? Is it working right now? Can you hear me?
Yeah,
cool.
we can hear you. We can see the drawings you're pointing at.
Oh my god, my dog. I'm sorry, guys. He's an asshole.
Those are some awesome drawings.
That's pretty damn cool.
Yeah, man. This is some American traditional fucking tough man, badass shit. Look at this fucking bull.
Yeah. So you're doing tattoos next month, huh?
Yeah, dude. I'm kind of actually like in a super duper crunch mode right now.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, like shit's ramping up, so it's kind of like it's up to me to kind of make sure I knock this shit out of the park. So I got a lot of fucking work to do, but I wanted to be here in spirit.
All right.
Good to have you in spirit or in any form.
Yeah, we're Faythen'oc. We're all about the spirit.
My art room is so messy. I am so sorry, guys.
I don't think it would qualify as an art room if it was neat. Like, does anybody keep a neat art room?
Maybe, man, maybe.
I've only ever seen them messy. I feel like that's part of the process, you know?
Well, if everybody's ready, we can go ahead and get started. Who would like to give the retelling? Preferably someone who was here last week. or Jackie could just make something up. That would be awesome. I'm on board for that.
I mean, I can. I've given so many of them. I'd rather let someone else do it.
I think Ed actually is the only person who hasn't given a retelling yet.
I am working on screen issues.
Fair enough.
Did we lose his camera again?
It's all right. No one likes looking at you, anyways.
Yeah, I don't even like looking at me, so it's okay.
Jesus.
Damn.
Coming in hot.
Jesus
I
Christ!
Someone just
man,
played
what?
Overwatch.
God
Yeah,
damn.
yeah. I played Overwatch and I had like 4 glasses of whiskey. So, yeah, it is what it is.
All right, I'll do it. My middle's a little fuzzy at the moment, so it'll build as I remember. Let's see. So we began our adventure essentially trapped in the basement of the no longer haunted place. Ty's character crafted up a cover, essentially, and then wrapped up the spear so that we could get that out unnoticed. Special, super sharp, crazily spear. We, the guards and such, sent down rope, basically got us out. And then we went back to the inn and spoke with the bard, who was now feeling better. Let's see, some guards came and waited for us, and Ed's character had a nice, polite chat with them. And then we met Ed's character and went through an interesting conversation to find out he would be representing us at the court hearing. And then we had a discussion with the proprietor, and he agreed to hold, because we found out he was the brother of the, am I going to get the siblings right? Brother of the sister that was the little girl whose mom died because she was in slavery. Was that the whole thing?
Yep, you got it right. That was the little girl's brother, who is now 20 years older than he was back then.
And owns a bar. Like that's a really good job.
Yep.
The good.
I lived in olden medievalish times, with or without magic. Bar keep tavern owner would totally be my profession of choice.
So we found out
Dub
he
life
was
forever, man.
Tub life.
Yeah, dub life forever. I haven't been there in like a month though. Well,
To be fair, you've been in Europe. That's like,
I mean,
that's
well,
a good,
yeah,
that's a good
but
reason.
yeah, like it's been so long. Holy fuck.
Let's see. So we found out he was the brother of the little girl spirit, and so we agreed that he should hold on to the spear for the time being. And so we suggested he put it in his storeroom, which put him at ease because we had messed with him a couple sessions ago, and he was a little scared, and so that was also a nice gesture on accident, kind of. And so then Ed and the guards escorted us to the courthouse the next day, and we had a interesting back and forth with them, constantly trying to get us to admit to finding things, and no one ever actually saying what was found or what wasn't found, but a lot of hinting at what was actually found. And a lot of legal precedences were stated by Ed, and a lot of conversational excellence on his character's part. And so we kind of let things lie there, and they agreed to give us our papers with the caveat that we would go north and retrieve the spear that was stolen.
Yes, the papers explicitly are permission to travel to the next province to the north, so that you can seek out the thieves who stole the spear.
Yeah, and so and with papers in hand, we left, and I believe that's where we ended. Did I miss anything at the end? I think that was the end.
No, that was the end. But by the way, Jackie, you'd be pleased to know that Venatori's tattoo was instrumental in recovering the spear and stopping the haunting.
Oh, I fucking heard. I heard that shit was awesome. That you got to use it a bunch.
Yeah, I used it like 3 times in one session.
He was zipping all over the place.
I barely remember the end of it because I was pretty drunk. But
Fucking
I
magic
definitely did.
tattoos. That
It was
shit's
good,
fucking
yeah.
canon now, guys.
Yeah, you and I got to pair it up all the time. I was thinking of making my teas into like an ink so you could use it.
And also
Nah,
drink
that'd
it.
be crazy.
You have some epic quality 8 sake as an ingredient available to you for your next tea.
Just get Venatori shit-faced and try to go tattoo somebody.
That's probably a bad idea.
So stepping out into the mid-morning light, your meeting was fairly early in the morning, very near to sunrise, but the sun is now climbing the sky, and the place looks just fantastic. There's flowers blooming everywhere. The rains that have fallen into the various channels are trickling down in artistic little waterfalls, and the paper on the walls of the castle has been splattered in a completely new and unique pattern of water from the shifting winds during the rains last night. Nature has cast her improvisational artwork all about the city, and in particular about the castle at its heart. The city itself is very much built on a hill, always down, always from the castle or downward. In every direction. So there was the long climb up the hill from the hospital, but there's another fairly significant climb down the other side to the north where farmland stretches out for a pretty significant distance. You can see way off in the distance there is a forest where the farmland ends, but once you come down from the hill it will be hard to see.
So while we're on this hill, we might as well survey the terrain to the north, right? So, see if do we see anything unusual to our north?
As Faythen'oc, it's quite unusual to see expertly engineered irrigation systems. Generally, in Faythen'oc, it rains because somebody is a master at commanding the sky to make water fall.
Sure. Do they have like what aqueducts here and stuff, or?
Yeah.
Oh no, that would be irrigation. That would. Okay.
So their irrigation does appear to be elevated, and so there is a raised wooden sort of scaffolding crisscrossing the farmland, coming from something to the north, which Ed, you would know, as you passed it on your way down here, is a very large reservoir lake built by the Emperor, or at least designed by the Emperor and ordered to be built. It is an artificial lake that was built in an elevation such that water from its base could be poured out and funneled down chutes into the farmlands during the dry season. It's generally not used during the wet season, as the rains do a fine job of hitting the valley, but this valley suffers from dramatic shifts in climate periodically. And so the Emperor's wisdom in his 25th incarnation was to build this, or order the construction of this structure, which has enabled this valley to remain prosperous and fertile at all times of year. This far south, there's not much in the way of a winter. Winter is more of just a wet season. Anyway, that's what Ed knows. He may or may not share that with you once he is available for actually playing. But yeah, in the meantime, that's what you guys see is that the farmland is crisscrossed by these wooden... They look like bridges to you, but they're not going over anything in particular. They're just crisscrossing above the farmland.
Basically, So it's like something like an aqueduct, but I don't understand what it actually is.
Right. And none of them are super high up. It looks like the highest any of them are is like maybe twice the height of a man. Most of them are actually like at head level, where you'd be able to reach up to them and manipulate them. Also, they are universally made of wood. There is no stonework among it. Again, Ed would have special knowledge of this. The reason they're made of wood is to make replacement parts very easy to do and to make reconfiguration very lightweight and easy to carry. If they change their mind about what crops to grow where, then they can reconfigure the channels to get water into various places. Aspects, well, the lack of artistry means that this is clearly not a Faythen'oc work. Aspects of the design do sort of tend themselves to what you're used to in terms of the large-scale project of the mountain monument that you were working on. You can see similarities in that.
Yeah, like to me, like artistry, I have a particular appreciation for like utilitarian artistry, where like something I see the artistry in things that are highly functional. So this would be something that would very much fascinate me.
Yeah, and this is super functional. And with the angle that the light is shining, it is kind of sparkly. The sun is sort of coming in from the side on it, so you're getting this sort of weird shimmer as the flowing water splashes in certain directions. You imagine that if you were to the west of this farmland instead of to the south of it, that the aqueducts would just be reflecting a blinding light directly into your eyes that would hurt. Which might be good tactical knowledge if you were ever fighting a war in that direction.
So do we know what's to the west of here? Is it like a rival state, or at least something that was once or even theoretically possibly could be an enemy?
You know that there are other provinces to both the west and the east. All of them are considered to border the Faythen'oc province. Those other provinces have their own dealings. This just happens to be the one that Daru went through.
Okay, so like as you know, I'm a fairly well-traveled, somewhat scholarly bard. I don't really know if I would likely know what the diplomatic kind of relation between two different empire provinces would be. Probably not, right? I probably wouldn't know that.
Roll some dice. Let's find out.
All right. Well, so what would I be rolling here?
We could say scholarship plus cunning. You don't have a library to do research in, so focus wouldn't really apply here. But you might happen to remember something.
You could argue focus if you were like Winnie the Pooh. You just like sit down. You like think.
Yeah, my cunning's better anyways. And yeah, I only got one success, so yeah.
Okay, so you know something about one of the provinces. Just make something up.
I know that they've had tense relations regarding specific agricultural crops that the province to the west believes that they're manipulating the price by holding their stock in reserve, but it's never been proven, and they have otherwise pretty good relations. So it's not a huge problem, but there's a little bit of tenseness there.
And this seems to be part of a running theme, is tenseness between provinces. You know that there is intense tenseness between this province and the northern one, especially with the allegations of spear theft. Magical green glowing spear theft.
What a shitty basis to have tension between provinces when the lord of this province knows it's a complete fabrication. So are we aware that there's tension between these two provinces based on this alleged spear theft?
You've been told explicitly that that is the case. Also, you saw in a vision that the Lord Hypo denied the northern province's troops medical treatment because they couldn't pay their hospital bill.
Yeah, of course. While we're up in the northern province, we should just tell them that Hypo made the whole thing up and he fucking knows it.
Where are you guys right now? I know you're kind of up at the top of the city. Did you want to go anywhere in particular?
Don't we need to get something before we go?
Yeah, get some stoof from.
There's a spear we may need to retrieve.
Also a
Fairly
bard
certain
and,
we promised we'd go grab that.
Also the bard and his companions.
Yeah, and but I believe
was it Lady explodes the walls a lot.
Yeah, and Venatori's somewhere. I don't know where Venatori is exactly, but like we should probably go find Venatori, right? Or so, Jackie, is your character is it just Vena? Like, so Vena is her first name and Tori is her last name?
Yeah, but you can call her both. That's fine. It sounds cool.
Okay. Yeah, I was just calling you Venatori because I just thought that was like your singular name. But I'll just call
like,
no, yeah, it sounds badass though. So like, I'm rolling with it.
All right. Yeah, I just looked at your character sheet for the first time, and I was like, "Oh, I've been getting it wrong this whole time." Even if it's rainwater that was collected on a spooky haunted night.
Well, that stuff he then brewed into a special magic tea, so that had a higher.
Oh, right.
It was his actions that made it special. Just collecting it was water. Now,
I mean, you did charge it with belief energy, didn't you? Like when it was being collected, or when that happened.
Oh, well, this is a different one. This is when later the night during last night when it's raining again.
Yeah, the last night when it rained again, but there was no spooky activity, he collected more rainwater. So he now has some non-spooky rainwater. A incredible quality jug of sake, and I believe some chocolates.
I don't have chocolates. That's just something mundane compared to like.
He has some miscellaneous flavorings he can use.
Chocolate sake sounds like the worst thing you could possibly give somebody. But I'm sure you could make it awesome. Granted, I hate sake, so I may be somewhat biased here.
So I'm going to write it down till it dies, but if my phone dies, I'm sorry.
No worries. Is there anything you'd like to do while your phone still has power?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, cool. I'm not used to using my phone for this shit. Yeah, man. I'm down to lay down some sick fucking tats. Let's enchant some motherfuckers so you guys can use it for whenever you guys are in some shit.
I have a great idea for a tat I can describe to you that you could give it to me, but you've already given me a tattoo, so it'd probably be cooler if you gave it to somebody else. But it would be a hilariously subversive tattoo for you to give to somebody.
Like how?
Basically, it would be of Lord Hypo with his spear stabbing a defenseless woman.
I'm just going to say that's a bad idea. That's a job stopper, you know. That's a pretty inflammatory, you know.
Yeah, we are a very inflammatory people.
Yeah, but that's you know, I'm just saying.
That's fair. That seems extremely mean-spirited.
But there's a lesson to be taken from it, which is to not trust the lies that cowards tell.
No, man, you should just be like, no. You gotta set a good example. Don't show shit like that. Show like good stuff happening, some badass stuff. Be like a beacon of hope, man. be like rise above that shit, be an example of good and fucking cool shit.
You did see some pretty cool shit. When they
My only problem is like, dude, like you legit, are you serious? You want to put a political figure killing somebody as a tattoo on your arm? That's a little fucked up. Like, what kind of buffs did you want from that? Like, what?
The ability to see through lies.
It's pretty fucking brutal.
you did, if you went with them into the haunted house, if you were tagging along with that, or the haunted hospital, you did get to see them get into this sort of epic rescue mission where they were pulling a spear out of a woman while tentacles of bone were attacking them, and a child's ghost teddy bear protected some of them from the things. They were firing arrows. They were running in and just grabbing spear and pulling. It was pretty awesome.
That's fucking gnarly.
And it was the tattoo. It was the tattoo you gave me to allow me to fucking burst in there and pull the spear out. See, full circle. It's all tattoos all the way around.
You've also seen, since the rains have started, you've seen some very, very beautiful just nature going on.
I mean, we could do some. So if we want to have like something that's super impactful, we can have like this like we can just have like the spear, because that's like a really great like focal item. It can be magnificent. It can be like it can just be like boom. This is the fucking spear of truth.
And the spear itself looks like the shoot of a like newly grown spring like sapling rising up out of the ground. It's bright green. The upper half of it is covered in leaves, and the leaves themselves are sharp as blades.
Yeah, that'd be fucking tight.
There's lots of reference material that Lord Hypo has all over his castle, as he has lots of pictures showing himself wielding the spear dramatically.
We also have the spear.
Yeah, I mean, I
just may not want to do it in town.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're gonna do it low key. We can go underground for this shit. See, that's the kind of subversive. The stabbing an innocent woman was a little on the nose for me. So, bad guy doing bad stuff. Gonna put it on my body.
Yeah, like I think my tattoo was gonna be super simple, which was just gonna be like someone like kneeling as they're pouring tea. It was basically like the symbol of tea, like to improve my teeth there, mom.
As I say,
how to tea.
I just want to be on the record. I would totally take that tattoo of hypo stabbing. So I would take it on my arm right now.
Oh yeah,
Haldren's arm. I'd be like,
yes. Fucking party.
But actually, you're looking for people to get tattoos, right?
This is true. September is when I'm allowed to book stuff.
Cool. I'm interested. I just don't know what to get. so
I can start like basically if you don't know what to get, if you're comfortable with it, I can be like, you should get this because it's fucking badass. I'm gonna be drawing like painting a fuckload of flash and things like that. So if you don't know, you can just look at the sheet of pre-approved designs and be like, that.
Yeah, cool. That sounds good to me.
Yeah, for a second there, I think I'd be like, yeah, I'm gonna wake up on Saturday morning and there's gonna be some random fat dude with a spear in someone's chest on my arm.
Yeah,
We're gonna get it in your shape, we're gonna get wild one of these random nights.
It might happen. It might happen.
Don't test us. That's gonna be that. I mean, if you really want something like that, you're gonna have to give me like some time because like. I'm literally not operating on a timeline. I'm just figuring, if you're looking for people to, give tattoos to be like, your first few clients, I'm down. I just don't know what to get. Fuck yeah, man. I mean, have you looked at any of the American traditional stuff?
I've literally looked at nothing. I could not be less informed on this topic than I am. Do you have like a subject matter in particular that you are like super like not down with? No, I don't. Here, we should probably continue this conversation somewhat like outside.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
So
I just
when you
realized.
return to
I
the
just
bar,
realized.
the bartender approaches you. Your goods are secured in the secret stash, but I wanted to warn you. I saw the captain of the guard leave the city to the north. He was taking some technicians with him. There may have been damage to the irrigation or the reservoir, but just depending on how your meeting went, I thought you should be aware. Did you get your traveling papers? He asks.
Yes, we did. Yeah, we got our papers. We have been granted permission to travel north in order to seek the spear thief. So apparently that's what we're supposed to do now.
And Gallista says, I promise you, I will find your mother. I will bring her justice. And I know your character intends justice to be a little more in the courts kind of justice. You do get the sense that Gallista would like to just put spears and arrows through people to get her justice. This might be one you need to keep an eye on.
And is the group? I mean, the group isn't really aligned with what I'm attempting to do anyway, right? Their justice has to do with the Lord. I don't give any shits about that guy.
Yeah, I mean, they've been talking a lot of shit about Lord Hypo. Gallista is concerned with a general of the province of the north. He's not even a lord. He's a general. He's not in particularly high standing anymore. Used to be. He used to be hot shit, but he's kind of old now, and he's had some famous mistakes.
I say the general is important to me. We must be cautious about that one. If he is murdered or meets an untimely end, that will not serve justice.
All right. Gallista is just sort of, yeah, she's in her own little world.
She's the Gallista is the ballista, right?
Yeah, Gallista.
That's the easiest way to think about it.
It's the easiest way to think about it. She has a bow and arrow, but those arrows, they might as well be ballista bolts. She carries a spear that's best described as a sharpened
if she's talking shit about this general, I'm going to make it clear that he shouldn't be harmed. That would actually do more harm than good.
She looks to her bard for guidance, who is a man that has up until recently been bedridden with an illness, but he is now quite well thanks to some wonderful herbal tea. And Radico, the bard, is ready to roll. The bards of our party, so there'll be both Draven and Heldren. You both now seeing this guy kind of fully in a state of wellness. His psychic imprint is a little bit brighter than yours. This guy has probably practiced the psychic arts a little bit more than you guys. He does not seem combat capable. He seems very musical.
Hey, he's a different kind of bird.
Different kind of bard.
I'm going to poke at something because my character is somewhat interested in this dynamic of this group that I'm with. And so I'm going to look at Callista and say, you seem to take a lot of instructions from this man. It's like, is he your commander?
No, but he is very wise. He knows many songs and stories. He knows the ways that the old ones found victory and the ways they found defeat. And from this, there is great knowledge and wisdom to be had.
I say, is he? Interesting, he says. I've been traveling with these two. They take orders from no one. They're great heroes. I've known many heroes, of the court, of course. Most of them take orders from no one. Usually the ones taking the orders are not the heroes. They're the pieces in the game.
She sort of shrugs, says, if an order is good, it's good to follow. If an order is bad, it's bad to follow. But it's good to have people that give good advice.
He says, I say, on that we agree entirely. He says, I hope that I can give you good advice. I will endeavor to do so. And I bow.
And I'll clap because apparently that's what we do.
Do the golf clap.
The golf clap.
You have learned to be in court.
Okay, cool. So Radico kind of turns to you and says, I think that this man, he's clearly talking to Callista, but he's looking straight at you, says, I think that this man has a wise plan, and perhaps we should remain calm and consider options as we travel. For those who make a decision at the beginning of their journey may find by the end of it that the decision was not wise. But if you wait until the moment when the decision must be made, then all options will be present, all paths ready to be explored. Callista's very happy with this answer, and proceeds. You did not really explain to him what your plan was, I think. I think you just generally said, right, to not be violent.
Well, I just said that I basically, all I said was that harming him will cause more problems than it solves.
As a person who is skilled, however, with wordcraft, you definitely pick up that he explicitly said to Glista that you have a good plan.
I say, my plan is very simple, and you may not be aware of this, but there are greater things afoot, and as an agent of the court, I'm aware of some of these things. There are many evil men and women in these territories, and they do very evil things. Sometimes, when someone does something that is heinous, it impacts others who are not evil and deserve righteousness. Killing the one, or hurting the one, or driving him away does not free those people. It just makes you feel better in removing an evil person. But with the law, we can free those people first. Then you can do with them what you wish.
He smiles, says, I'm excited to see how you carry this through.
I just say, as the fox said, killing the killing the farmer, removes his key, and without the farmer, the chicken coop will forever remain locked. Sometimes some people must make difficult for the greater good.
Sorry.
Are you okay there?
Yeah, I just sneezed. And I don't know how to turn my fucking shit off. Sorry.
All right, so yeah, it looks like Gallista's calmed down then, and she'll follow your lead for now, as her bard has encouraged her to do so. Sinlan, on the other hand, the man with the spiked fists, has just remained silent, as he has done for most of this adventure.
I'll just say, Semelon, are you with us?
He nods silently.
Cool.
A quiet man reveals no secrets.
Shall we go back to the inn and drink to our victory in the course?
You're at the inn currently,
We're at the
but drinking is definitely a possibility. You're at the correct place for that. Also, the spear is in the basement, if you guys wanted to go down there and do tattooing.
I mean, I'm a
Fuck
head
yeah,
for
man.
the basement.
So, Draven, are you adept at wielding spears?
And I'm gone. I don't
That's pretty
know.
fucking forward,
I would
man.
love to find out.
All right. Well, I believe this is your spear.
I mean, it's a little big, probably. Like, how tall is this thing?
It's about a 7.5 foot length. The first maybe 4 feet are holdable. It's just like a green shoot of wood. But then after those 4 feet, what you can only describe as the business end begins, where leaves blossom out from it. Each one a tiny blade that just really, really cuts hard. You can't wrap it in cloth or it cuts through the cloth. Tice had to rig special sheaths made of bone to wrap around it.
Yeah. So I held it. I'm pretty sure I held it at some point when we were removing it. Was it heavy?
No, it is incredibly lightweight. It feels, it feels
Okay.
really light in your hands when you held it.
Okay. I'm assuming if it's a very, very light weapon, I could probably learn how to use it pretty well.
Yeah, it's unnaturally light.
We're gonna find out because you're gonna be
Right,
my
for
model.
testing
You're
stuff.
gonna hold that shit up while I fucking tattoo it.
I mean, I might be willing to take a tattoo of a spear if it does something that I think a tattoo of a spear might do.
So, Jackie, when he picks up the spear, your keen artistic senses notice that the definition of his muscles shifted when he touched the spear.
Okay, so can you give me more details? Like, is it kind of like, like how they are after you work out a lot, like immediately after, it's all like fucking engorged with blood and vascular and shit.
They didn't get bigger; they got harder.
What? Wow, that's impressive. Well done. Nice. Good for you.
You expect this is probably not something most people would notice, because it's not like a bulging size. It's that Come on. We had the joke. The joke happened. Let's move on.
No, man, you laid it on thick. You went with
Oh, I
bulging.
laid it on
That was
thick,
your
did I?
choice.
You went with bulging and engorged. That goes beyond the joke.
I'm sorry, but
So
yeah,
many
that's
adjectives.
it's badass.
It's a magical
Cool.
spear. Okay, it's going to have dick jokes the entire way.
Well,
Yeah.
you're the one that started it. It was like it made you harder. I'm like, okay,
It increased the definition of his muscles. You suspect that it is not actually lightweight. He just becomes stronger when he picks it up.
That's dude. Okay, so that's what it does. You just get like a temporary, like fucking more buff.
You
Even if you're
recall
not
that all
holding
of the
it.
pictures of Lord Hypo show him as being way buffer than he was when you saw him.
See, maybe it just does that for you.
Yeah, it's like vitality.
I mean, would it be vigor then? Like a vigor buff? Something like that?
Yeah, kind of.
Or it could just be like a resistance modifier, like you just become like more tough.
It could bonus vigor. It could bonus your endurance, your ability to withstand damage.
I mean, pick your flavor, man.
Tice, you smell something a
whoever's
bit
getting
off.
it, you know.
I mean, I'll. We'll
I
do it
smell-
because I'm gonna take the spear. So
I smell something off.
Yeah, it's that smell that you get if meat has been left out and not properly salted, cured, or cooled.
So it's rotting meat.
Yeah, it seems to be coming from the bundle that you had wrapped up the spear in, and now that it's been unbundled, you're kind of smelling some rotten meat coming from that bundle.
Oh, wait a second. Holy fuck. Okay. So you
Where
said
did
it was
we-
wrapped in bones?
Where did we get the cloth? Or no, the bones came from inside the. It was the bones that it was the skeletons that were attacking us.
Is it like regrowing flesh?
Yes.
Fuck!
Gross.
Yeah.
And that's happening on the spear, like the.
It was happening on the bones that Tice had attached to the spear. The tendons were starting to grow out of the bones and trying to reform themselves into muscles.
So the question becomes: is that the bones or the spear at work? I'm guessing it's the spear.
Yes, it's some
Oh,
kind
yeah,
of
for sure.
regeneration. Or
I mean,
I'm
these are
holding
Steve-
the.
These were some super spooky, supernatural bones, but I still think it's a spear.
I'm holding the spear at the moment, right?
Yes, you are.
So I've unwrapped it. I'm holding it, and there's basically bones with like the tendons regrowing, right?
They were in the wrapping. I'm assuming you took them off because you were going to pose with the spear for a picture.
Yeah. So they're not on the spear anymore, right?
They're not on the spear
That's what
anymore.
Okay. I was gonna start just smashing the spear against the wall.
Just like, get it
They're
off.
on the ground. I'll let Ty share the information.
yes, I know something growing. Can I? Let me. I have an idea. Is there somewhere on the floor I can like dig a hole for a second? A small hole.
The floor is made of dirt down here, as you're in the hidden basement under the end.
Okay. I'll scoot some dirt from there, and I'll pull out like a seed from my pocket, and I'll place it into the ground, and I'll cover it back up with dirt, and I'll pour a little bit of rainwater, and I'll go. Would you be able to stab the spear right beside this?
Like in it, like just to the side,
Or in the ground, like in the ground beside it. Well, first stab it beside it.
or like
Stab
blades or end. Does it matter?
It like stab the spear into the ground.
Okay, I'll do this.
Upon striking dirt, it feels like the spear has grown roots into the ground and kind of gotten itself stuck. There's a pulse of green light across the floor. The seed sprouts up. You also see some mold in the corners of the room grow out into like full-grown fungus. And then when you go to pull it, it takes a second for its roots to retract out of the ground and become the spear again.
So, anyone else think that was a giant beacon saying, "Hey, I'm the magical spear. I'm right fucking here. Come get me"?
I mean,
Yeah, pretty much.
yeah.
Just fuck.
So my first suggestion is going to be we should probably get either a stone or metal sheath for the spear. Something that's not actually, it doesn't actually have the capacity for growth. My second thought is, so where we're heading, because we're heading, correct me if I'm wrong, we're heading northward, right, to meet with the other Faythen'oc party.
Well, you're heading north to find the site where Daru's shield was on the night 20 years ago, when her house was attacked.
Right, but like beyond that, our eventual order is to meet up with Harving, correct?
Yes, and Harving is very, very, very far to the west.
Okay, to the west. So would we know anything about like the weird Apthian incursion there, or do we just know that we're supposed to go west?
The Apthian incursion is the entire reason you're on this mission.
Right. Oh, I understand. Basically, are we aware of that?
Yes.
Okay, basically, how much have we been told?
You and Draven are aware of it.
Okay. And as part of the Apthian incursion, is it one of those things where I'm trying to remember when we fought the Apthians in our like 4 parties ago. They actually don't do the thing where like life kind of decays around them, right? That's a separate thing. That was the demon thing.
The Athenians have a collection of demons they worship. Each one offers eternal life in a different way.
Basically, they're all super fucked up.
Yeah.
Okay, so this could theoretically be useful against demons. On like a philosophical, not even necessarily directly combat level, but on like some weird philosophical level about like the resilience of Talus and regrowth against a foreign invader.
I mean, as magic weapons go, any of them is going to be useful, especially if you're fighting demons.
Cool. All right, I'm happy. Yeah, I'll just suggest. I'll say, we might want to consider having a stone or metal sheath for that spear. Otherwise, this is a promising development.
As luck would have it, you happen to be an expert stone and metalworker.
I was just gonna
yeah.
say, is there anything in the storeroom too that he can just work with?
I'm literally a stone carver. It's like what I do. So.
Did you guys bring Ed's character down here with you?
Sure.
I assume so. Yeah,
I mean, I'm just following people around at this point. So
yeah, he was there for the discussion. It's not like we're hiding anything from him.
Ed, you've probably been down here before. There are numerous contraband weapons, as well as guards' uniforms for disguises down here.
Cool. I say, this appears to be some sort of a cache of goods, potentially for nefarious purposes. Who all's down here? Is it the whole group?
Yeah, the whole party's come down here. I think the
idea was to do some fucking.
This is like the most used secret room in all of the Empire. It's like a high traffic secret room.
Radico, Sinlan, and Galista have stayed upstairs.
Can I?
This is a player characters only secret room.
Oh, that's actually pretty good. Okay, yeah. So
I trust. Yeah, it's weird. I trust Galista. The other, I'm inclined to trust others, but we just haven't spent enough time around them to really have. Or in the case of the other hero, he just doesn't say anything. So, you can't really form much of an opinion about him easily. But I trust that Gallista's legit.
I look kind of ashamed at the party and say, while we're alone, I should probably come clean about something.
Here we go.
If you observe carefully, you'll notice I'm actually gripping the sword on the short sword on my belt.
If you look closely, I am quietly and very secretly judging Draven's reaction.
He's the one you should probably be worried about.
So I put my hands up and say, I'm not actually a training scholar. I say, my real name is Sufi Elrin. I'm from Corlanth. I was a slave of a northern house here in the Empire for many years.
As soon as he says that, I will unclench my sword. I'm good.
I'm still holding the throwing knife.
I say, I earned my freedom. I was a child of a slave. That much is true. And as a child of a slave, you're given certain options. You're not considered enslaved based on your childhood, and the owner of your parents is required to deal with your education. And they did so, and I left and became a relatively decent scholar of merchant law in Corlanth. However, there are some people here that I've come back for. One of them is, in fact, one of the people that we've talked to, the mother of the bartender?
Yes.
Is that right? The mother of the bartender. Having discovered this, and kind of that's how I know him, and I'm here to do him a favor, as he's done for me. His mother was wrongly enslaved, wrongly indentured, as I suppose is the term used around here, but it's slavery nonetheless. by this general. She needs to be cleared, and that is my goal. I am sorry for deceiving you before, but I need to be somewhat covert about this entire thing. As in this case, it's entirely legal. She deserves to have her servitude revoked, and to be compensated for the time that she spent in in servitude. But the law and people who break the law don't always cooperate.
Yeah, I'll say I understand this. We're not in Faythen. If we were in Faythen, you could have spoken freely about this, but here, the law is a complicated and perverse subject where slavery is somehow permitted.
The law is relatively straightforward here. Slavery is permitted, but that is within the law. What's not permitted is taking something without payment. That's theft. In this case, her freedom was taken for payment, and the payment was treatment for her daughter. Payment was not rendered, and she's been enslaved for many years.
So, to be
in this
clear,
case, the law is entirely clear, but the people in power are the ones that are responsible for enforcing the law. That's where the trick comes.
So, just to be clear, as a former slave yourself, is your objection to the fact that she was enslaved, or the fact that she was not given the payment that the contract commanded?
I am a merchant. I believe debts should be paid. I believe that human freedom is not a reasonable payment for any debt. However, that is the law of my place. Corlanth slavery is illegal. Here is a different land, a land that I left because I disagreed with it. The law is the law, and the law should be respected or changed. But in this case, I kind of look a bit nervous and say, around the room, I say, since I assume that I'm among friends, I'm no fan of slavery, I say. If I could free people, even if it were illegal, then I think that would be the right thing to do. That said, I would be breaking the law by doing so, and there would be consequences, and I would need to accept those. In this particular case, though, there is absolutely no gray area at all. The law was broken by the person that's holding her captive. She's been held as a prisoner, not as a servant.
So yes, absolutely. And to be clear, for whatever it's worth, we are Faythen'oc. We reject slavery unilaterally, whether it's legal by some perverse code of the law that we're in or not. That does not change the fundamental fact that slavery is an atrocity.
To be completely fair, I would not. It's like I agree with you entirely, but I would not be where I am had it not been for slavery. My family had no possibility of even no possibility of even feeding us well, much less giving me a proper royal education. My mother paid dearly for that education.
So yes, I'm glad it worked out for you. Perhaps for many others, it did not.
Of course, and I understand that. Everyone's situation is different.
One of the things you may recall, Miles, is that the shield you were looking for belonged to Daru, and Daru is well known for having come north to try to free slaves.
Yeah, I mean, I referenced that a few, like, half a conversation ago, I believe. But yeah, the person we seek specifically struck out against slavery.
Abolitionists, man.
It was
Badass.
20 years ago that she did that, but yeah.
Yeah, that the legacy of this dead hero that we seek is that she was in direct unilateral opposition to slavery, as all good Faythen'oc should be. Because a slave is fundamentally incapacitated from their ability to fulfill the heroic deeds to which they are destined.
I say, perhaps.
To condemn someone to slavery is to keep them from fulfilling their true purpose. Whatever that purpose may be is, frankly, irrelevant. But I've heard of heroes of every persuasion. There's a hero for everything, but I've yet to hear of a heroic slave only because slavery is to condemn somebody to not be able to know their own heroism.
Wise words. You have no obligation to do so. I know that you're on some other mission of your own, which you can keep to yourselves. But it would be helpful if you could assist me at least in this small thing.
So, of course, we would not be fulfilling Darrow's legacy if we did not assist you in this. To be clear, and I'll be entirely forthcoming with you here, our mission here is to... there's a great hero of Faythen named Daru who came north to fight against slavers and to fight against the institution of slavery. And our entire purpose is to find her shield, to properly engrave it to commemorate, her great deeds, and to commit her to the memory of Faythen. And then we are to deliver that shield to her son, so that he may have it in his possession when the time is right. So our mission is inextricably bound to slavery, and specifically to our opposition of it. So it appears to me that, as a bard, as a storyteller, that it cannot be a coincidence that our goals are intertwined.
Is fate, baby. Or actually just, let's become a party. Adventure in party.
Again,
Just make it fucking happen.
Yeah, I always say when you're starting,
Kiss.
when you're starting a role-playing session, the hardest thing is always figuring out a reason why everyone stays together.
Fate has brought us together, because otherwise there would be literally no reason to continue.
Yeah, it's like all right, you went and fulfilled the first contract that the innkeeper gave you. So why are you guys still hanging out together? And if you have a good reason, you have a good party. If you don't have a good reason, you still might have a good party, but you're metagaming hard.
In any case, as the heir to a relatively wealthy estate in Corlanth, where estates are relatively strange, they don't follow family lines; they follow the people who do the best. I have quite a bit of influence. Most of that is miles away across the ocean. But I have caches of various things and contacts throughout the Empire that I can use to get weapons or equipment or other things through checkpoints or pick things up. If you need these, ask, and I can see what I can do. I kind of look at you and I say, you seem to have no problem just carrying weapons directly across the borders, which is unique to your people, I suppose. So I feel that those are less useful than I thought they would be.
So, you never know yet. That which appears like it may not be useful now may present itself as being absolutely vital at a later date. We never know. It's best to keep our options open. So, thank you in advance for any help you may be willing to provide.
So, Draven and Heldren, while neither of you were given explicit instructions on what you need to do, one of the paths that was advised to you as an escape strategy once you acquire the shield is to go through Corlanth. So meeting somebody who has influence in Corlanth might be useful much, much later down the road.
Good to know.
I'm going to go let the cat in. I'll be right back.
With a
I'm gonna
better quest.
go make another drink. I will be right back.
Yeah, my phone totally fucking died earlier, and I was like frantically switching to my iPad because I'm like using it for reference. I was like, wait, I can run Discord at the same time.
Don't let your iPad die.
My laptop screen is having this like really annoying artifact bug, and I am unclear about whether it's a Windows/Intel driver update snafu, which happens because Intel writes terrible graphics drivers, or if it's like a panel wire going out. The graphics card seems to be fine because it only happens on the built-in display.
Yes. But to help my part of the cause, Do you know what any of access of any rare ingredients that I may use to smooth the upcoming people that we encounter?
There are a great many rare and exotic components available for sale in the bazaars of Corlanth. But again, that is thousands of miles from here. The Imperial City also has a renowned market. Again, that is thousands of miles from here, but it is, it's at least over land, and there are roads that go there.
Also, Corlanthi pasta is really good.
Mhm. I am. I should also mention that I'm not exactly traveling with. I have a variety of papers. Let's just say, none of which are exactly above board.
Jackie, have you decided what manner of tattoo to make?
Who's getting it?
In truth, that is up to you.
Oh, I get to decide?
Well, you're the tattoo artist.
I mean,
This is true. I mean, you are.
You get to decide who's getting
You
it.
don't have to just do a.
that's usually not how it goes.
That's not how any of this works.
No.
That's how it's gonna start.
These are not exactly customers. They're Faythen. You give as gifts the great works that you do to those you think deserve it. Faythen economy is very, very weird. It doesn't really use currency at all. It's mostly about people who are awesome doing awesome things for each other because it's awesome.
Yeah.
And then in the background, there's
Paying
this
it
network
forward,
of
sort
bards
of.
desperately trying to make sure everyone gets enough food to eat.
Right. Oh, Jesus. Those poor bastards.
Most of which comes through here.
So, I mean, like, who... Okay, first of all, who wants it? Like, on a serious level. Because I think Miles was pretty stoked about getting another one. But we could also, of course, spread the love.
Yeah, I'd rather the love be spread. If nobody else wants it, I'll totally take another one. But
I mean, I'm a
if
little
others want
jealous
it, then yeah.
of what he was capable of, considering he had to pull me out of a tight spot.
Mm-hmm.
So there is that, but also I'm aware that there's no special ingredient this time.
True. I mean,
There's
we
a
can-
damn
we
fine
can.
sake.
But
There-
if I'm
yeah.
gonna be taking a spear and you're gonna do a tattoo along the lines of it, then it may be a good idea just to do it on me.
I mean,
If you're willing to
you
get
get
wasted
it to
on
match,
sake.
so. Huh?
If you're willing to get wasted on sake before you start, Tice does have a quality 8 sake he could brew you something up with.
Wait, sake is like super,
It's super alcoholic.
like alcoholic, right?
Oh yeah,
Maybe we
it's a
can
rice
use it as
wine.
like a disinfectant.
Alright.
And
No,
it gets seared in, or
You take a drink
Penetrated
and you take a drink so you get all the goodness in you, and then we're gonna wipe you down with that spicy fucking sake. Ouch. I don't know if I agree with that, but whatever. We're Faythen. We can do crazy shit.
And
It's
while you're
Tice's
giving
sake. He gets to decide how it's used.
Yeah.
and while you're doing the tattoo, I'll narrate a very cool story about what the spear is capable of and what it
Oh
must
yeah.
by all means represent.
I mean, now that we've seen it like create that sort of like the root system, we can have it do almost like an earth shatter with like fucking crazy shit coming off of it.
Yeah, so I can make something with this stuff. I have several ingredients that I want to use. I have the sake. I have the rainwater that I got that is pure, just like pure.
You know what? I could mix it into the pigment actually.
Do you know like how if this was to be used for truth, the truth is always pure. And I will also pull the how much did that plant grow that I put the seed into the ground with?
It grew into like a spring shoot. It's not a full bush or tree or whatever it was going to be, but it's like a green shoot sticking out of the ground.
I guess I will cut it from the root, and I will also use that as part of the I will I guess you could use this for like helping as like the drink, as for when you drink, or that, or you can use part of it for when you're doing the inking itself.
So you're gonna like brew that little shoot that came out from the ground? Is that? Are you turning that into tea? That was
not that into tea, but I was thinking of since it's been affected by the magic of the spirit, you could probably use this to help do the tattoo and make it more as part of it.
So how would we incorporate it?
You know how you have the needles for tattooing?
Okay.
Have you ever seen where they do the tattooing, you know, on the backs of people?
Oh, like the Maori style.
Yeah, you could use the shoot
like
as
Polynesian stuff.
Yeah, you could use.
I mean, like I don't even know how I'm applying these. I'm not going to get into that. That's too technical.
Given that your tattoos are animated,
yeah, like that could do any manner of bullshit
and react to environmental conditions.
Like if it's organic, maybe it came from the thing. Like we could brew it. You could make that into tea, I presume, and that would benefit from all your skills that are tea related. And then I could ingest that tea and make the tattoo. Or he could drink it. Who fuck? Hell if I know, man. Yeah, he could drink it. I don't know, man.
You could both drink
it.
So
drink. Let everyone drink. It'll be good. We'll drink the sake. We'll drink the tea. We'll drink a lot.
Oh no, it'll be a mixture of sake. It'll be a mixture of sake, the pure rainwater, and the shoot.
Nice, perfect.
The first shoot grown from the spirit itself.
Yeah, there you go. Boom.
Yeah. And while they're making this determination, I'd like to just start writing something in my journal about the spear specifically, and about how, from what I've observed, it must be a weapon of purity and life. So pure, in fact, that even in the hands of a coward, it is still a weapon of righteousness and of life and what is right, to the point that it rejected its wielder and declared him unworthy in a way that I've never known any weapon to do, but that by itself must make it a weapon solely of the righteous. And that by being an instrument of life, it must be in the right, because life can stand only in opposition to death and decay. So therefore, it can only be right. And I'd like to write this so that I can recite it while the tattoo is being tattooed.
Most excellent.
Hell yeah.
So go ahead and do like a little helper roll there. And
can
then
that be in?
Tice has the biggest helper roll that's coming into all of this.
Yep.
Because Tice, you have an absurd number of bonuses coming your way from that sake. This is going to be almost at the tier of the dragon stuff.
All right, 7 helper die.
Wow. Yeah,
fucking
that's
sick,
awesome.
Man. Yeah, this is going to be tight. And I'm so stoked to like describe it. It's going to be tight.
If at any point you want to explain how thresholds and pips work, that was a fantastic role to do it with.
Oh, I need to hang on.
Yeah, it was. So,
are we still waiting for Tice's roll?
Yeah. Well, so just to give a heads up, Tice, in this case, the sake is not eldritch, which is what the dragon liver was, but it is rare. So the bonus dice that it gives you are dice. They're not successes, so you don't get 8 automatic successes the way you do with the dragon, but you do get 8 extra dice on top of your own roll.
Okay. And then so I have 17 dice currently. Let's see if any of my characteristics help with this situation.
And Miles made an excellent point, so just to point out to the viewers how that roll went, you can see that he had 9 dice, which is probably a 5 artistry and a 4 empathy, I'm guessing?
Yes, that's correct.
And then because he has a... is that from a mastery or is that from one of your traits?
It's my prose mastery.
Yeah, okay, so he has prose mastery, which means when he is writing poetry, he gets a threshold improvement. So his threshold is a 5, which is why that 5 there after the 8 was a success. And then we've also got the 4s and the 3s. Those are getting bonused into successes by his 6 pips.
Yeah, the 6 pips. Basically, both my journal and the quill that I write with are their signature items for my character. I spent renown on them, so they're Q6.
And you may be thinking, well, if they're each Q6, then why didn't he get 12 pips? And that's because only one piece of equipment can bonus you at a time, basically. There are things that can stack bonuses for pips, but they're not usually equipment. It's usually things like genetic traits, like keen eyesight, stuff like that.
Yeah, I've stacked it with companions before when I had like my sword and my companion wolf and stuff with Luther. But basically, if I was min-maxing, I probably would have only taken one of those. But it was just kind of a flavor thing where, from a role-playing perspective, I wanted them both to be legendary things that are associated with my character, and if they do or don't give me pips, is kind of secondary.
So currently I'm using my T set as my pips, but I can also use my smelling and taste.
Yes, that is correct. You can use, as pips. That's correct. Miles, you said that yours was legendary. You spent renown on that?
Yes, I did.
That should be quality 8, not quality 6.
Oh shit! All right, that's awesome. It is Q8 in my inventory. I don't know why. I've only been rolling 6 pips in my rolls, but yeah, it should have been 8.
I think because we had talked about like how for some reason our magic is like weaker outside of Faythen'oc, so I think we all thought it was like 6 for some reason.
Well, that is true of magic. That is not true of the quality of equipment.
In any case, that should give me an extra success, so I should have 8 successes.
The issue with quality is that everyone else's quality. When you go to like a new town out here, you go to if you go to the store to try and buy stuff, all their stuff is garbage.
And correct me if I'm wrong, is it correct that like the belief network is also less powerful out here?
It is absent.
Yeah. Okay. Well, the utmost extreme of less powerful. But yeah, in any case, that roll then should be 8 successes instead of 7. So since I had 1 leftover pip, and 2 additional pips because it was Q8, so that 2 becomes a 5.
Out here, your belief network consists of Ikoma Masashi, of Venatori, of Galista, and of Senlan. Those are your belief network. There are no paintings or statues wired up to transmit belief over long distances. It's all just what you have locally.
Yes. Also, do you believe I am hardworking in this or honest?
I would say you are very hardworking since all you've been doing is preparing tea and food.
Okay, and I will also be using one of my other heritage things of omniscience since I got my stuff back. So I'll put it back to a threshold of 4 for this epic tea.
God, omniscience is so powerful. Yep, okay. Go for it.
Wait. I have one question. Would my keen belief Q4 apply on that roll I just did?
No.
Okay, cool.
That is a keen sense, and you're not sensing belief, you are influencing it.
Fair enough.
Jesus.
God damn it, Tess.
Oh shit.
Worthy
Right.
faithful.
So this is what can happen when you have a character who really stacks the deck in their favor, particularly with crafting.
Three different ones.
Right. So when Jackie goes to make this tattoo, she is going to have 24 helper dice in addition to her own dice that she's rolling.
How many? 24?
Yes.
Jesus.
Tice
All right, here we go,
gave you
guys.
something to drink that only he can describe. So go ahead and describe it.
So yes, it's a green sort of tea because of the shoots, but you first get when you drink it, you get the kickback of the sake, but then it milds over by this sort of like calm pureness that is extracted from the dew of a morning rain. It's just like, you know, that feeling and smell you get from the morning dew of a rain. It's just sort of that calm and peaceness that you get, which sort of neutralizes the setback of the sake. So you don't actually feel as drunk as you are, but you just like, it's just like overpoweringly calmful. So you like, your hand becomes more steady and you just like
Feel grounded and stuff.
Yeah, and everyone takes a sample of it if they want.
And I imagine you probably mix some of it into your ink as well.
I mean, yeah, fuck yeah, man. It's going in there.
It'd be
All right.
irresponsible not to.
Yeah, totally. All right, so let me see here. I might disconnect temporarily. I don't know how my iPad's going to handle multitasking while I get my stuff here. Although with this many dice, like I feel like I should just automatically just kick ass, but
I have your character
it's
sheet.
pretty
pulled
much
up.
guaranteed. Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, if you want me to tell you like what you're rolling for some.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, I also took items, like remarkable items that I paid for with renown. That's gonna be. I think I should have it in my inventory. I tried to be a little bit better about my bookkeeping.
Yeah, you have a Q8 tattoo kit.
So that's how many dice? It's going to be like artistry and something else.
Your artistry is 5. I assume you're going focus. Your focus is 3.
Cool. So that's D8.
Yes, it'd be D8. Do you have a mastery?
I do have a mastery.
You do.
I
Okay.
should if it's. Oh fuck! I don't know if I wrote that shit down or anything like that.
So 8 plus 24 is 32. So she's rolling 32 dice.
Jesus. Okay.
Also, you still need to get the heritage traits, apparently.
Yeah. Fuck.
Something
At least my kid's in there.
worth explaining to the viewers is that while she's getting a lot of helper dice, each die only has a 50-50 chance of actually being a success. And they might all roll badly, or they might all roll well. So there's a lot of randomness.
That's why I say, because if you have a mastery, it's 60% chance of success, which over 32 dice is like statistically you're gonna get a couple more successes. There isn't a mastery on your character sheet, but I don't know if that's current or not.
Well,
Yeah,
she has
haven't had a chance
traits. She has the trait surprisingly scholarly.
Yeah.
In this case, I don't think that really applies.
That's definitely not there. Yeah. Yeah, this is party time.
Unless it's like she actually knows about the spear.
Yeah, I mean, I could argue something for it technically, like because I've seen it depicted in paintings multiple times, but I'm seeing it in person, so it's also like right in front of me.
Yeah,
and I'm seeing what kind of effects it has. So it's
And you explicitly forgoed the opportunity to study those paintings because you had the real thing available to you.
Yeah. Also, it would be like super sus, and we're trying to get out of Dodge. All right, so if there's any, so I need to put in some pips from the kit. I think that's the only other thing I need to roll, yeah, because I'm not I don't have a threshold bonus.
Yeah. And you wouldn't have taken any heritage that gave you sensories to tattooing, like touch or sight.
Generally I take keen sight on my characters that have that sort of thing, but that's my bad for not putting it on there. Are you ready to do this thing?
I am excited to see the results. I guess I'll go ahead and just roll it for you.
Oh, I have it queued up, but if you have it, then
no, hit it.
Hopefully. I need to put in
Oh! Never mind. I saw Tice's roll.
It's gonna be way more dice. Other
Fuck.
way with the slash.
Shit.
You broke it there.
I'm
That's
sorry.
an amazing amount of dice. What's the quality of the materials that she's using?
She is using, let's see, rare materials.
I know she said she was using the tea to help with the ink.
Because like max quality on an item is like the quality of the material that's being used. The rest of the dice just go towards properties.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, basically it's a quality 8 tattoo with an extra 11 successes to give it properties.
Yep.
I would say available properties would be things like roots can grow from your fingers to improve your grip for climbing. Straight up health regen in short spurts. Maybe when exposed to direct sunlight or something.
I mean, I don't like the exposed to direct sunlight thing.
Fair enough.
But health regen is awesome.
Temporary
also
vigor
climbing walls is
bonuses.
really good.
Yeah.
You can spend potential to get temporary vigor bonuses.
Vigor is always good.
I'm not really vigor based though. That's the problem.
Damn.
I mean, I can do vigor based stuff.
But you tax the shit out of everything. Like if our last combat was any indication, we could have used vigor at some point.
Well, you could use it. This could be something where you can just tax stamina to, or tax your stamina or I guess endurance, because they're functionally similar for you to instead of or in place of something to do with your resist.
Yeah, like you could basically become a little bit tankier or a little bit more. I don't know if agility is like necessarily a great fit, but I feel like tankierness would be good.
But mechanically, could you push out vigor for the sole purpose of taxing it and not having to suffer the 5-to-1 ratio, and then having it and then immediately not having it?
I have no idea.
Well, so it like pumps vigor up and then you just tax vigor.
Yeah, basically.
Or it pumps vigor up so you can roll 5 dice when your agility is taxed out, right?
It's like flexing your pecs really hard right as like a dart enters them and just popping it right out, and then you don't have pecs anymore.
Yeah, I mean, doing vigor and it would kind of make resist a product of it anyway and stuff like that, right? So.
If you were going to take agility all the way to 5 and then get alacrity, having an alternative to alacrity that you can roll for attacks is nice. But it's up to you guys. Ultimately, it's up to your tattooist. I know she's deferring to your decision.
I mean, I feel like anything that will help you, like the regen sounds dope. Like what are we limited by? Like how powerful can this thing be?
I mean, it's 11 points of power.
Yeah.
You have 11 points to spend, but you can't make it stronger than what we would consider to be a quality 8 item.
Is there anything that would disguise him like a weird kind of ghillie suit type deal?
Yeah, you could just sprout leaves from your body.
I mean, I can
I mean,
kind of
there's
handle
that,
the
but
hidden stuff already.
Okay, how about
Yeah,
we
that's
play
fine.
around with the rooted idea? Like, what if you get a bonus to stability? Like, if something's trying to knock you over, or if you need to like, if you need to bar a door, you can do it. You can just stay rooted.
Or if you need to climb something, you can just
Like, immovable.
It might be nice
Or,
to
you know,
essentially,
very hard to
root to things.
Hard to move.
And
would
then
be cool.
then you could adapt it to whatever. So basically, I can root myself now, and I could do that in order to walk up a wall, or I could do it to not be knocked over, or
Yeah.
I don't know what the condition on that would be.
That'd be dope, right?
Yeah, or you could also just do. You also can do the grow leaves things, and you're better for ambushing.
You could root yourself to a person to hold them still.
And I've done grappling before.
Cool.
That
Supernatural
or
grappling.
thorns, or just grow the sharp leaves everywhere.
I mean, why not both? It sounds like we can.
Basically,
Let's
I
not
can
let our
adopt
dreams be
properties of
dreams,
the
lads.
staff. I can root and grow leaves.
Razor leaps, from what I'm understanding.
Well, that's what's on the staff.
So Draven learns razor leaf.
Yeah, super effective.
All right. Rooting would be, that's basically like a second circle ability, right?
I am not keen on magic.
I'm gonna go ahead and just to move things along. I'm gonna go ahead and say, yeah, this it lets you spend a stamina to root yourself, and we're gonna dump the rest of the points into you being able to use this by looking at the tattoo yourself instead of requiring other people to look at it. Because if we make it work the same way Miles does, he has to show off the tattoo to somebody before he can activate it. Which doesn't really work for your stealthy style, right?
Right.
I was gonna say there's gonna be a lot of you got to put this on my arm, and there's gonna be a lot of moments where I have to take my shirt off and
Let it out, baby.
do something and then vanish.
Fucking Faythen'oc. Just tearing their clothes off to show off their badass tattoos.
Okay, so one stamina to activate. It does a rooting sort of thing, and then I have
once
to see it
unrooted,
beforehand.
you'd have to spend stamina to reroot. But yeah, yeah.
I have to spend stamina to unroot.
No. Once unrooted, you'd have to spend stamina to reroot.
Okay, so I just spend a stamina every time I root, and then if I want to cancel it, I just cancel it.
Yeah.
I can just kind of break free at my own will, kind of thing. But I have to be able to see it and spend a stamina to do it.
So it's going like, where is it going then? On your arm, somewhere you can look at it quickly.
Yeah, I think
like your
that
forearm.
makes sense. Yeah, like on the inside.
Okay. So given the size of that space, what I would probably do is
I mean, you can go all the way up the arm if you want. It's a big spear.
I guess you're right. We could, but your arm bends, so it might be difficult to
that's
get
true.
it to be totally straight all the way up and not be warped. And let's see.
I mean, I have my forearms, but
I could make it like an
huge.
entire thing that wraps around your whole forearm. So like part of the spear will be on, I will say the head of the spear will be on top of your forearm. Okay. And it's going to kind of angle down towards the wrist. And it's going to have root structures kind of like wrapping around. And then on the point of the spear point of it, is that kind of growing a lot of leaves or something like that? Okay, yeah. So that's kind of going. Can you guys see my camera? Is my camera being a dick?
It's
Is
no view, black view.
Yeah, I can't see. It's been kind of a dick to me.
Well, I'll try my best. Okay. So where the spearhead is coming up, imagine it, if you're looking down at your arm, like across we'll call it like the hypotenuse of your arm. like a diagonal line that follows the curvature of your muscle. On the one end, you've got the spear pointing upwards. Leaves are going to be wrapping around the top end of the spear, the pointy bit. And then roots are going to be coming down on the other side, wrapping in the opposite direction around your arm.
That looks pretty awesome.
And maybe like a background with like, rocks exploding around, or maybe some fucking clouds or some shit. Who knows? Whatever. We can freestyle that shit. That shit's going to be animated.
The leaves appear to be blowing in the wind.
Exactly. And then the roots are kind of like curling and curling and curling into themselves. So they're kind of like almost like eldritch looking coils of roots. There you go. Boom.
All right. Congratulations. We now have 2 tattooed party members.
And pretty sweet abilities between you two, actually. Those are pretty fucking dope.
This is pretty awesome.
And it's funny, even in your tattoos, you're like the opposites of each other. One is for freedom of movement, the other one is restricting.
Contrast, baby.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, I need his tattoo, but I can't do that.
So as you're finishing up the tattoo, the innkeeper enters the room very quietly, and in a hushed whisper, he goes, "What the hell did you guys do? All the vegetables started growing. My kitchen is a nightmare."
I was gonna shout up to say we should, if it went outside of the room.
I'll say, is that a bad thing? Are vegetables not supposed to grow?
Not after they've been cooked. The carrots are sprouting roots into the soup.
Fucking lol.
It's like, cook them again. What's the problem?
The problem is magical things are going to draw attention. I don't want attention here.
Would it ease your mind if we left right now?
Very much so. Your other companions are already preparing at the road.
So yes, I thank you very much for your understanding and for your aiding us in our endeavor. And I understand that we are a beacon when you surely do not desire a beacon to be placed upon you. So rest assured, we will be leaving right now.
You also may want to check out that mold. It got really bad.
Do we need to cover this up? Do we have some way of? Because I think we're having Miles do that.
Yeah. I suppose I might not have been doing that since I was writing the poem, but I can do that on the road as well. Like while we're on the road, I can carve up something from stone. If we have like a cart or anything that lets me kind of be sitting while I'm working, I could carve up a sheath essentially out of stone.
Does the innkeeper have any kind of sheath that we can borrow? We can use?
No.
I mean, as long as there's a stone I can carve, I'm good.
You guys do still have the bones that are a little bit of a bloody mess right now?
For the record, that's fucked up shit, man.
It is fucked up, but also Masashi's the only one who even noticed it. So it could, as a stopgap measure, it might not be the worst thing in the world. We obviously don't want to keep anything in there for more than a day. but
well, it's also weird that bones are a bloody mess.
I mean, not really. Where do you think they came from?
Blood is formed in the marrow.
That's true.
But these are ancient bones. They shouldn't be blood.
But if you give me a rock, I can fashion a good sheath. A very, very thin, lightweight sheath.
I was gonna say, is this gonna cover the whole thing and be like?
Yeah, it'll cover the whole thing, and I'll go out of my way to make it as light as possible. I've got the artistry to make it happen.
All right, so with it sheathed temporarily in the bone and wrapped up, You guys proceed out onto the street where the other bard and his companions are waiting. They seem to have acquired a cart that they are loading with supplies. It's mostly food, actually. They don't really need much in the way of weaponry or armor or anything like that. They're just loading up some food for their trip.
Cool, man. Let's do this thing.
And so you
Ready
guys
to-
proceed down the hill.
Sick.
Coming down into the farmland, you start to get a much better look at sort of the sense of the land. And you realize that while it wasn't really easy to see from the hill, now that you're at the farmland, it is a very slight upward slope that you're going up as you traverse the farm. At the base of the hill, there's a creek that's collecting water from the farms, as well as getting excess runoff dumped out from the endpoints of the irrigation system. These are wooden structures that stand about the height of a person, but they're taller in some places. They are structured so that they are very easy to move about. They can be reconfigured, their joints can have them bend easily, and there's places to put in little boards to stop water flow or to direct it down at intersections, direct it down one way only or the other way, or let it flow both ways. These little boards are attached by ropes. As you proceed up the road, which is a very well-maintained road, not exactly paved, but rocks have been put on it and then just stamped repeatedly until they are part of the dirt. The road passes by sheds with spare equipment. Some farming equipment, but also lots of spare equipment for modifying the flow of water through these elevated irrigation systems. Kind of like little miniature wooden aqueducts. As the day wears on, you eventually pass by farmhouses. You see people out in the fields. It's not a harvest time. This is a time where things are beginning to grow. So they're mostly just making sure that the rainwater isn't causing flooding in places where it shouldn't. You do see some people with buckets, just sort of taking care of problems. Some people with shovels and wheelbarrows shoveling dirt, moving it about. General farming stuff. Mostly they seem to be growing roots out here. Beets, carrots, potato kind of stuff.
I would like to approach some of those farmers.
All right.
And I'll say, have you heard of Faythen, the land to the south, that is full of great heroes and great bards who commit to history only the greatest of deeds?
They indicate that they have heard of the strange barbarian lands where uncivilized folk fight dragons.
So it's curious that you think us uncivilized. That is not a criticism. I understand where you're coming from. All others think us uncivilized, I've found in my travels. But
I was really hoping you were going to be like, takes one to know what.
But do you have you heard that we are great? That we have great heroes, and that we are the greatest at what we do.
They appear to have heard that you are incredibly violent, and that you have no lord, for no lord could possibly rule you.
That's what I like to hear.
Let's say that is true. We have people who we respect, for they have earned our respect, and they have earned our deference, but nobody who rules us.
Let me just pop in real quick. There's a great fucking Rick and Morty fucking phrase that would go great with this, and it's he goes like, "He's a bureaucrat. I don't respect him." So perfect for this.
That is. And I'll say, you you seek to grow crops here. Yes?
This is more than seek. We do.
I'll look at Draven and I'll say, do you believe we could help them grow their crops? To help spread the belief in what we are capable of.
I'll give him a look of why are we doing this?
Because we are heroes.
Just one day.
And I'll simply say, I believe that you believe that. And these people should agree.
Super convincing.
Very confusing. I'm not trying to sell shit. So.
Not trying to whip out your spear?
I mean,
This
I
is
feel like
our
it's a bad idea.
Do it. That's why we do it.
So this is our opportunity to spread belief where they do not believe in us.
Yeah, I mean, what's like the worst shit that can happen?
Let's just show off this super.
I'll very like
Jesus.
when they I'll say that, and like I said, I'm just very like casual with it, and I'll say I see they have the power to grow great things, and I will like subtly pull away just the bottom of the spear and tap it to the ground.
All right.
So it can't really be seen.
The spear itself can't be seen, but the flash of green that flows along the soil can clearly be seen, and many of their beets rapidly grow and ripen, and the farmers start cursing. No, it's too early. They're out of season. They won't sell at market. And then we have to start all over. This patch won't be ready for the next cycle.
Say, but is a crop out of season is more valuable, is it not? Because you have no competition in the market. It's you and you alone.
A crop out of season won't be trusted. The people at the marketplace will think that it's old crop that we're trying to pass off as new.
Then demonstrate that it is ripe.
Ah, you foreigners, you don't understand. Goddamn foreign wizards messing with crop cycles. This has all been planned out well in advance. We have the Emperor's schedule to keep. This will take weeks of rebuilding. He starts ripping out beets.
Then I wish you the best, and I hope you are better at planting than you are at understanding the basics of economics.
To be fair, this is kind of your first foray into economics as a character.
Yeah, I think they may understand it more.
But no, supply and demand is pretty fucking simple. I understand supply and demand. Who doesn't?
And so you proceed up the road, as the road does have a slight uphill inclination. You do start to see sort of signs of terracing, where there are points where the land has been made flat, and because there's a natural uphill inclination, this means that they've built out little walls to contain things. Here you're starting to see lots of rice being grown in pools of water that are being fed from the irrigation. Most of the irrigation seems to have been blocked off. The actual water flowing through it is just a trickle right now, as the recent rains have kept everything nice and wet. But up ahead, after about a day's travel, you can see signs of some structure off in the distance. It looks like at some point the next day you'll reach the constructed reservoir. which looms like a very, very tiny flat mountain. While it's not really an inn, there is sort of a public house has sort of this implication that there's some amount of services and amenities. What this is it's a publicly available house. It is a house where the doors are walls, basically. They're just openings in the walls, and anybody can come in and lay down a bedroll to stay out of the rain. There are some people in here, some merchants traveling south. These do not
What news
look like
do you have
the
from
ones
north,
coming from.
France?
Yeah. Their news is that with the recent rains, they've begun shutting down the reservoir's feed. The river that feeds it has been diverted back to being full on the river, and the irrigation ducts themselves have been drawn to a trickle, just to give the bare necessities of fresh water for drinking. They themselves are traveling south to get their organization ready as when certain things that are about to come into harvest start to, they want to be ready to gather that up and take it in various directions for trade. So they're traveling on empty carts at the moment, with the promise of a good trading season up ahead of them.
You travel to Faythen for trade.
They've considered it, but they generally are not brave enough to go that far south. There are other merchants who do. They're aware of that, and they make good money, so perhaps. The issue they have with Faythen, as much as there are merchants that make a shitload of money doing that trade route, is that it's really inconsistent what you get. So you have to have really good contacts for selling off the cool shit you bring back. Otherwise, you get railed for price. If you just go into any random sword shop and be like, I have a Faythen sword, they'll give you maybe 1/10 of what you could get if you had contacts in the sword collecting community. Since these guys don't have the good contacts for offloading their goods, it's not as profitable a venture. They will probably be taking the food here, which is primarily a root-based agriculture. They'll be taking that to places that are less root-rich and trading for grain-based stuff.
Just a lot of potatoes.
Yeah, these guys are going to be carrying shitloads of potatoes.
That is wise. The people that consume potatoes are likely to consume more potatoes. People that collect swords are likely to not need more of them, and potentially produce swords without owners.
I'll kind of grip at the sword on my belt. I'll say, as long as there are people without swords, every sword should have an owner.
He does feel, well, there's a little bit of tension when you put your grip on your sword, as carrying weapons openly is not a normal thing around here. He does seem a little bit more relaxed than you would have expected. And after some prodding, you come to find out that he recently passed the captain of the guard with a pretty hefty cavalry contingent. And so he's feeling very secure right now that his roads are well patrolled.
Oh, they were heading northward.
Says, yeah, passed them on my way down here. Just maybe an hour or two before I found you guys.
It's like, I mean, it's not rocket science to tell where this is going. I'm not going to say anything here, but yeah, I mean, I get that from here on out we probably shouldn't travel along main roads.
Well, we're heading towards a sort of northerly direction. I don't know exactly if we're still going the same direction as we need to be.
Yeah, basically, until we get to the gate, we should not put ourselves in a position where the guard captain might reasonably expect us to be. Because he had a weird reaction to us kind of implicitly outing Lord Hypo, which is that he may possibly be sympathetic to what we said, but it's probably more likely that he's been sent by Lord Hypo to accost us and to retrieve the spear. So that's just something we should be aware of.
Well, I meant more of like the way the trail that we're following is not going to be always the trail of the road. We don't know which city it might be going towards.
Yeah. If you continue on the northern road, you are heading to the city of Jaipur.
I meant no. I was because we had a location that we were heading towards, and the last city was the halfway point.
Yes, the location you're heading for is a bridge that crosses the Jaipur River into the Jaipur province. And it is on that bridge that Daru lost her shield. Or left her shield, or something. But that's the location that you got from the coded message.
I'll ask this merchant, how many guards did this person have with him?
He said, well, he himself stood alone, but he had 2 lances with him, 8 each. So a total of 17. They were mounted on cats. The cavalry in this country, they ride on basically giant tigers.
Sorry, well, we have...
I guess, actually, kind of regular-sized tigers. Tigers are pretty giant, all by themselves.
Yeah, tigers.
So we have 4 heroes. I like our odds.
He says, yeah, they were accompanying a contingent of engineers. There may have been flooding at the river with the rains.
Yes, perhaps. They're looking for the shield, aren't they? I mean, I'm not going to say that, but in my head, like they're looking for the shield. They know where it was dropped. They know we're after it, or they probably suspect we're after it, and they've got to be looking for it.
All right. The sleep here is not great. It's a quality 2 rest. This is like a really, really awful kind of accommodations, but it is out of the rain, which is nice. The next morning, the sun does not properly rise, as there are clouds covering the sky and a very light drizzle accosts you. It is a very warm day, however, so the drizzle isn't the worst thing, but it does soak you a bit.
Did you say quality 2?
Yes, quality 2 rest. Recover 2 taxes. By midday, the rain has stopped, but the clouds have not abated. It is a gray and cloudy day when you reach the bottom of a great climb. Crisscrossing stairs zigzag up this great stone edifice. The stone is not natural. This is workmanship. You can see mortar where it was put together, and all along the stone, in perfectly evenly spaced rising patterns, are holes that can be configured to release water from whatever is behind this magnificent, towering stone structure. The structure extends both east and west for quite some distance, and it extends up for about 100 feet. Like you said, there is a staircase that zigzags up the stone edifice to the top.
I'm certainly not going first.
If no one else will, Gallista will, because she has no fear or comprehension there might be a trap.
It's like steps, right? Just regular steps.
I would like to inspect for a trap.
Aside from this being an obviously good place for an ambush, because people could be above you, which would suck, especially if they have ranged weapons. Yeah, this is... You don't see traps in the traditional, like, spring-loaded, if you step on this step, then boulders come falling down kind of trap. What you see a bad tactical situation.
So I suspect that the ground above us is ripe for a potential ambushing party to assume to ambush us.
Yeah, if there's somebody waiting for you over the lip of that rise, you'll be in a bad situation. You'll basically have your back to a cliff, and if you do go down slowly back down the stairs, you'll be prone to ranged attack.
All right, so
is this a drastic, like, what's the side of the stairs look like?
So
like a sheer wall?
Yeah, the stairs are carved, well, carved/mortared into the stone. They are a zigzagging stone pattern that goes up. However, there also are wooden, you can think of them as scaffolds that are holding up the outflow pipes. The wooden outflow, they're like V-shaped aqueduct structures. Really, they're only like about 3 feet across. They're kind of small, but there's a bunch of them all over the place. And wooden scaffolds hold them up to the stone where holes are available. Right now, the lower holes are all sealed, but the ones very, very near the top seem to be releasing small amounts of water. It is a pretty impressive structure, just in terms of the scale of it. It's not super artful. They didn't carve statues into it or anything, but the sheer utility of this structure, if it is what you think it is, which is full of water on the other side, a hollow structure that collects water, this is a massive undertaking. And the fact that it's working and providing a reservoir of fresh water for the farmland is a pretty awesome thing.
So that rise that we're kind of worried that we would be exposed to, I would like to not say anything. I'd like to just kind of tap David's shoulder and just kind of point to it, and just kind of try to gesture that we're vulnerable. I'm sure he probably already knows, but I just want to like make it clear that I'd like to plan to put somebody up there.
I mean,
I'm willing to go up there. I'm happy to go up there.
so how high up is this? Like
About 100 feet.
So reasonably, it wouldn't take that long to get up. Like the stairs are relatively steep, but getting down would be a problem, like quickly.
Getting down quickly is really easy if you don't care about surviving at the other end.
It's true. You just jump. It's 100 feet. There's not like a moat going on, right? So there's like little things that are catching the water on the different levels.
Yeah, a massive structure of wooden V-shaped aqueducts supported by wooden scaffolding is collecting water from... It's available to collect water from all over the place, but right now the only water actually coming out is at the top. The whole thing is slick with rain and would be dangerous for anyone inexperienced to climb. That said, the whole thing was also built to be disassembled and reconfigured if needed. So there are handholds, they're just slick with rain and dangerous.
Oh, so we'd have to actually climb up.
You don't. The stairs are there. The stairs are easy. Anyone can handle the stairs.
Or we could just smash the aqueduct.
That may not be a great idea. What's the other bard's name? I have two things I want to do.
The other bard's name is Radico.
So we can tell that he's more adept with the psychic stuff. Can we have? I want to ask him, kind of off to the side, if he could. Does he feel capable of ferreting out harmful intent of anybody in the direction that we're headed? Like if he could try to reach into like if he could ferret out emotions or anything in that direction. Because he's more adept at that, and then I'm planning on doing something with that. If he says he can't do it, then that's fine.
No, he says, yeah, I can do that. I don't really sense anything of direct harmful or hostile intent. I do sense there are people up ahead, but they appear to be calm, passive, peaceful, like they're waiting for something. I don't sense any aggression or malice in them.
I'll say that I suggest we send one person forward.
As the camera pans back, you see his the coma already like a quarter of the way up there, just doing his silent walk up there.
He's just meandering his way up. I don't have any like I was trying to ferret out emotions too to like use to go invisible and go up there, but like I can't really use calm and waiting.
Yeah, he says they're so calm they're almost like faint. I think there's like 4 of them, maybe.
Yeah, I mean that's not to me that sounds more like soldiers waiting, and that they're not aggressive because they don't have a reason to be yet. How big were these posts on the side? Like there's a whole system, right? But like the posts themselves, are they like?
Oh yeah, no, they're real thick, sturdy. They're meant to support the weight of water. Water is heavy. The water may be very light, just a trickle right now because of the recent rains, but during a dry season, they turn this on full blast. These things have to support a tremendous amount of weight. So, Masashi, you reach the top of the stairs and are the first to see over the rim. You see that the rim does extend in sort of a light curve going around. It would be quite some time for you to walk this curve. It's very large. But on the other side of this, basically it's a wall. You just climbed up a wall, and the other side, the stairs go back down again, except, of course, they're going back down into water. This is a reservoir that is filled nearly to the brim with water. And in front of you, there are a series of wooden, they're like floats, these wooden floating platforms. They're quite big. They're like easily like 20 feet across. Very, very large platforms. And they're floating in a chain that are sort of linked together to form a bridge. You'll have to sort of do little hops from one to the next, but it's not a challenge. It's just that these things have been tied together to form a sort of floating bridge leading north to continue the path. You can see off to the sides there are others of these, and there's something very weird going on with a group of them that have been tilted down into the water and have created a section where the water is not. They basically blocked out a section where there is no water, using these platforms by angling them down and then draining water out. Standing about 3 of these floats in to the north, there is a group of 5 people. They are mounted on cats that are dressed up in sort of war armor. They're carrying weapons that could best be described as a spear that's met a sickle and decided that would be fun. It looks like if they were to swing it downward on something the cat had caught in its claws, they could deliver a killing blow right to the torso. It's quite a wicked thing to have when you're riding on the back of a cat. The one in the lead has his cat just leap forward by one, so it's up and facing you, and he dismounts, puts the spear sort of on his back in a holster, and waits for you. I'm just waiting to find out if you're going to make tea for him.
For me? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, this was your character that went up without everybody else, right?
Yeah.
It's such a cinematic thing. I love that. The camera, they're like, somebody should go up there alone. And then the camera backs away and you're already halfway up. That's perfect. So here you are at the top.
Masashi just starts slowly walking towards them, walking towards the group as he pulls off his kettle, and he throws a couple of things there as he dips it into the river, and on the front of his staff he sort of clips it onto it as he puts a match into the lantern as he starts walking towards them. And he goes, "But I'm gonna let you go and play some cards. Today is such a lovely, great day. Don't you agree?"
Guard Captain Saim Bachet says, "Indeed, I do agree." And with a hand signal, his cat seats itself, rocking his little wooden platform a little bit back and forth on the water. But the chains that hold it to the other platforms keep it mostly still. And so he goes and sits down, cross-legged in the middle of the platform, and waits for you.
And Masashi will head over there, and he will sit down, resting his staff down, and he puts the tea down, pulls out a couple cups, and he before he pours, he goes, "Would you like some tea?"
Indeed, the tales of your tea are legendary, and none of the tasters died. A credit to your skill. He says quickly, "But anything that you will drink of, I will drink of too. For we are but two honorable men here to have a discussion." I presume you then go through all of the rigorous steps of having a proper and formal tea ceremony. Is that correct?
Yes, of course.
Okay, that's going to take a little while, so the rest of the party has time to do other things.
Did anyone notice that our tea maker just wandered off?
Oh, I noticed. I just didn't do anything about it.
I like to think that, like, as soon as you said someone should go up, when the camera was panning out to show that he was halfway up, all of you just kind of turned with horrified looks on your face at him.
All right, can I like roll an investigation check to see if I like noticed when he left, or because if I saw him leave, I want to go up there. He's my hero. You know, I can't leave him by himself.
Sure, yeah. He wasn't really being stealthy. He was just being comically timed.
I got 2 successes on my investigation roll.
Tice, what is he actually rolling against? I don't know how many dice your comic timing has. I think we'll say he probably noticed. Does it mess up your plans too much if he notices?
Not really. It's just sort of like the calming. He doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't matter anything if he falls.
Okay. So I'll say you notice and in time to sort of chase after him and arrive at the lip shortly after he does.
Cool. I mean, I'm not even necessarily like erasing because I'd have no reason to believe there's a threat. Or actually, I do have some. Actually, that's right. I do believe there's a threat up there, so I actually would haul ass up there.
So you haul ass up there and you come over the lip just in time to see him sitting down in front of the guard captain, who is sitting cross-legged on one of these wooden floats in the middle of the reservoir, and they look like they're about to have a tea ceremony.
Yeah, I'm cool. That's actually here's the best case scenario, right? So I'll slowly approach, but I don't want to spook anyone. So I'm gonna approach pretty slowly and kind of be pretty easygoing about it.
All right. So you hop the gaps over onto, I guess, the wooden platform. You can sit down if you want. Join them.
Yeah, sure, why not?
Draven, what are you doing?
I'm suspecting issues from what I had the other guy do, but I'll still probably say, since 2 people have gone up, that the rest. I'll suggest that the rest follow. But they may do as they wish. I'm gonna go to the top and stop just short of the top.
Okay.
And just kind of like stick to the side if I need to get out of the way if anybody decides to follow me and come after. But I'm not going to show myself at the top. I'm going to attempt to like peer over discreetly if I want, just to see what's there and then wait.
Vina, what are you doing?
She muted. And then I muted. Giving you a play-by-play. Yeah, I don't think we're getting any audio from you. Huh.
So she switched headphones and her mic is not working.
Those are very similar, Tice. They don't curve away then come back like that. They just do the curve, and then they also have a point that comes out as a spear. All right. Jackie's going to follow Troy.
Smart move.
All right. And then, let's see, Niguri.
Well, I find myself alone and everyone's going up the stairs, so I'm going to go up the stairs with everybody else.
Are you going to go with the people who are going over the rim and onto the reservoir, or the people who are hiding behind the rim, waiting?
I'm going to go ahead up. I don't want to do anything that involves climbing because that's gonna not work for me. So I'm just gonna walk up the stairs carefully and head, I guess, towards where people are.
You're delighted to discover a formal tea ceremony in progress.
Oh, excellent. I will sit down and join if I'm able.
Indeed you are. There's quite a bit of room on the little raft.
And I'll admire the cat. I have seen cat riders before. These are provincial guards.
Yeah, they're part of these are not imperial. These guys are beholden to Lord Hypo.
I see.
So, in your personal experience, not as scary as imperial cavalry, but the cats are probably pretty dangerous. The riders take training. The cats just take what they want.
Yeah.
Okay. Then I guess the tea ceremony proceeds. Your other bard, not knowing what else to do, kind of comes up, but he Sinlon stays with you, Troy. Stays hidden, and Galista doesn't actually step into the tea ceremony. She just waits on the edge of the cliff, standing on the stone. She doesn't seem keen to get onto the rafts. You imagine it's because she doesn't want to get the bowstring of her bow overly wet. It'll have trouble firing if it gets dropped into water. All right, so for those at the tea party, as Tice makes an amazing tea and pours it and passes it around, the basic formalities of the tea ceremony begin. So greetings, announcements of names, polite admiration of your style of dress, the equipment you have, comments about the weather, all done in a very precise order that none of you are familiar with except for probably Musashi and Niguri. But yeah, you guys sort of get through all that, and then you get to the meat of this meeting, which is that this man has a proposal. As the guard captain, he has brought travel papers that are fundamentally different than the travel papers you currently have in a very important way. And he presents these travel papers and says, these travel papers are travel papers for the great heroes who successfully recovered Lord Hypo's spear, and who gave it to me to return it to him. These travel papers say that as great heroes who have done a great service for a provincial lord, you are granted free travel through the entirety of the empire. No province would be restricted to you, under Lord Hypo's personal guarantee of your nobility.
I say, well, this is very generous. We will certainly endeavor to return to you when we have retrieved that spear.
I'll say, and were we to return that spear to you, what exactly would you do with it?
I would return it to my lord, its rightful owner.
Interesting.
I would place it in his hands, and let what happens, happens.
And were the spear to again declare him unworthy, and were the spear to be unliftable by him, what would you do then?
But that is not my business. I am beholden to my lord, and so I serve my lord's will. My lord's will is to recover the spear. What he does with the spear is his own business.
So very imperial of you to place the very edict by which you live in the hands of someone else.
He smiles broadly.
I look over at you and say, it is the foundation of society. I say.
The better question is, as he sips the tea, what do you follow, the man or the title?
Why, the title, of course, he says, as though this was, like, not really even a question.
So if the man were not worthy of the title, and someone needed else had to have the title, would you replace the man?
The Emperor has deemed him worthy, for the moment.
And if there was reason to believe to go to the Emperor to be able to prove that he is unworthy and replace him with someone else, would you be for it? For it is an honor thing that is needed to be determined.
And in this, he sort of narrows his eyes when he says, I am beholden to my lord. Unless my lord orders me to display evidence against him, I am beholden to my lord.
And I say, additionally, unless the Lord has done something extraordinarily heinous, it is unlikely the Emperor would intervene. He has more important matters to attend to.
Okay, so this is the oath that you have sworn. I do understand oaths. Say, well, if we should happen across this spear, I would certainly prefer to return it to you so that we can have access to these papers.
He kind of Sir Shrugs says, "Then do so. You have the spear."
Wait, is Troy here with us?
No,
I thought
Troy's,
he was over.
Troy's
I'm hidden.
So who did he say that to?
Just straight up to you.
Say, I believe you're mistaken, sir.
I stand up and say, that is a strong accusation. I'm a member of the court, and we certainly do not have the spear. You are free to search our belongings.
He says, "I will not interrupt the tea ceremony to search your belongings. I am aware of what evidence has been presented to me, and I am confident you have the spear. I am confident that the story that will be told of this, and I hear you, Faythen'oc, love your stories so, is that I met the great heroes, and they gave me the spear to bring back, and I gave them these papers, and that will be the story told, one way or another."
I take a sip of tea and say, that is a grand story. Were it so. Unfortunately, we simply don't have the spear. As I said, once the tea ceremony is concluded, you're welcome to search us.
And I am confident that if you continue to threaten us, there will be a grand story told of Callista, the great hero who slew you all with a single arrow.
He does look a little worried looking at Callista. So.
I mean, they're in a
But-
straight line right now, right?
But we must not. We do not need to speak of such violence while we're drinking.
Troy, if you're peeking over the edge to get an idea of where things are, you notice that he has strategically positioned himself such that there are members of your party between him and Callista. The rafts are all in a straight line. So yes, Callista has a straight line shot, except that all of your members of the party are currently also on the rafts in the way.
Hope you guys know how to swim.
If the Lord is certain that we have this item, why did he not require it when we were in his court?
Your skill with words may outdo the courtiers, but out here it is strength of arms that matters. I am not a vain man. I don't need glory on the battlefield. All I need to do is accomplish my lord's tasks. And I have brought with me papers that can be yours if you simply give up the spear and walk away. And these papers will record you as great heroes within our annals. And they will grant you permission to walk wheresoever you choose within the Empire.
So
if we were to have the spear, either we do have the spear, which we don't, but if we did, it would have been acquired at the hospital, which the Lord has already admitted is our sovereign property by the law. If that is different, then he could request the spear back. He could have done so under the eyes of the law in the court, but chose not to. And now he asks you to retrieve a thing that we do not have with strength of arms rather than the force of law on his side. I find this unnerving in a country of laws.
What I believe he means to say is that we are no longer in a place of laws. We are in a place where strength of arms rules. And if that is the case, then I would suggest to him that it appears to me that he is challenging a party of Faythen'oc, a party of great Faythen'oc heroes, to a test of their strength of arms. Are you really so stupid that you would even consider this.
I say I must, as a non-Phaethon, I must agree with my companions. The strength of the law is really all you have on your side in this matter.
Tarir said you might say something of that nature. He takes out a little scroll and says, he said to tell you that you chose not to claim the spear as one of your spoils, and therefore the spear was found in the wild, not found in the hospital.
That is fair. However,
He then
we
just sort
have
of
no-
casually
we have no
tosses the
spear.
scroll into the water.
I'll say, actually, I made a pretty firm declaration, and I carved it into stone in the basement of the hospital itself, which, should you choose to make your way down there, you will find those words written.
He smiles. He says, someone will find them shortly. I do not need to be your enemy in this.
Then how about
It certainly appears that you're choosing to be.
Then how about a friendly bout then? If we do not want to cause hostility, maybe one of ours against one of yours. The winner gets to get you. If you win, you get the. We will get. If we have the spear, we will give it to you, and you'll give us the papers. No questions asked. But if we win, we will request of a couple things from you.
The truth of the matter is such
But
a wager is meaningless. We don't have the spear.
That would require that we have the spear in the first place, which we do not.
But
You assert something that is false. There is no way that we can give you the spear.
But he believes that we do.
Correct. And so if he won that engagement, we would still be unable to give him the spear. And then he would, by rights, be upset that we made a false wager.
All of these things are true.
I'm going to speak very loudly now. I'm going to say, have you not heard the legend of Callista? I have heard, and it has been told far and wide in the Faythen'oc territories, that Callista is so majestic with her bow and her arrow that, I mean, honestly, between you and me, she might as well not call it an arrow at all. It might as well be a ballista. But that it is of such an incredible mastery that she can even phase entirely through a target that she does not intend to hit and can instead destroy that which lies beyond it. Have you heard this story? Because we have all heard this story. We all know it, and we understand it, and we believe it. And I'm speaking this loud enough that Callista can hear it. If that requires me to shout, I'll shout it.
All right. Yeah. Go ahead and I assume you're going to try and power her up. Give her some magic.
Damn right. I'm basically reciting a poem about how she's so incredible with a bow and arrow that she can just like phase through things she doesn't intend to hit.
I say, yes, I have heard this legend. The legend of the technique of the discerning arrow, I say.
Okay. Wait, is that your roll?
Yes.
What were your roll? Oh, this was your speechcraft. Okay.
Yep.
All right. She is inspired. Are you going to be taxing supernatural abilities?
I'm not exactly sure what I would tax. I'm certainly willing to. I'm not sure what I would tax because I'm still not totally.
If you're going to give her arrow a magical property, then you would want to roll your potential, and then you'd be taxing either potential or stamina accordingly.
Okay.
Okay. Cool. So what is the type of enchantment you're giving? Is it just to phase through the first thing, or is this a seeking arrow? What's going on?
Yeah, I would like to give this arrow. Since this is a straight line, I know where Glist is. So I can pretty easily determine whether or not she can shoot a target without hitting me. And I'm guessing the answer is no, right? And that he's positioned himself such that the only shot she has on him is through us.
Yeah.
Then I would like
She'll have to pick one of you to put her arrow through.
Yeah, I would like to grant her the capacity to pass the arrow through whoever she chooses so that it does not impact us and instead impacts the target beyond.
Okay.
Yeah, it was either that or do a super awesome arcing shot.
What do you think, Ed? Is this like this seems kind of like basically magic missile, kind of in terms of its functionality. Yeah. He's making it so that it has target discretion.
Yeah, basically.
So that would be first circle then.
Yeah, she still needs to aim, but yeah, I think that's probably the reason.
Yeah, well, the argument for second circle might be the example of Melf's acid arrow, but that also imbues the arrow with a bunch of properties.
Yeah, this just lets her shoot people through other people.
Yeah.
Can I imbue it with other properties? Or is that something I would have declared beforehand?
You'd want to have declared that in your...
Yeah, okay. Yeah, fair enough.
All right, so I'm going to roll her attack.
And by the and I'll whisper to Nergui and Masashi. I'll say, let's try to retrieve those papers when this is all done.
That is an excellent idea. So that is Gallista's arrow attack on him.
Oh, the shit's going down then.
Yep. And this is his tactics attack on her. No, kitten, off keyboard.
A kitten attack? Who knew?
Thematically appropriate, right? He balls up his hand and moves it forward, almost like he's punching. No one's even close enough for him to have hit, but then you see that there is a piece of string attached to his hand. And in pulling it forward, he has pulled it basically under the dock and pulled away the stone that she was standing on. Water begins to rush out that gap. Everyone who is standing behind the platform, you now have a torrent of water threatening to sweep you off the cliff. There's going to be a agility check, probably with either athletics or acrobatics, to remain on. Difficulty 4. Oh, I'm sorry. Is it 4? No, I'm sorry, 3. She got 6 successes, he got 9. So difficulty 3.
This is for the people up there?
Yes.
So yes, that would be our 2 scholars, our 2 bards, the scholarly guy, and the silent but deadly guy.
Yes. Her arrow fires, and it is... she slips, so at the last moment her trajectory shifts, but not completely. And so it still bounces off this guy's shoulder, throwing him to the ground underneath his cat, which steps forward over him guardingly. And much to your sorrow, his tea spills upon the raft.
Our first casualty.
Yeah. Keep the puns coming, man.
You've been waiting on that one for a while.
How many other guards does he have with him?
4 behind him that you see, but your report from when you were traveling was that he was traveling with 16 in total. You guys are on rafts, on a chain of rafts that have been chained together to form a bridge across the reservoir. But there is a segment a little bit to the east where a group of rafts have been sealed together, creating a chamber that is preventing water from entering. So there is an area where the water level is not reaching the top in that area. You cannot see down as to what is in that area. It was also reported that he had some engineers coming along with him. All right, Jackie. Jackie's character climbs up the scaffolding and begins sketching the battle. Henceforth, she will be ignored by all combatants, but will have amazing pictures of the battle when it's done. All right, so that was Gallista and his move. The rest of you guys are in close range, and I know some of you carry pretty violent implements. So Miles, Ed, you guys are the closest to the action currently. What would the two of you like to do?
I would like to motion for to suggest that we get off of the raft. And I would like to hop backwards off of the raft as I do that.
Okay. Right now there is no aquatic turbulence to speak of. The raft is fairly steady. There are a large number of people on it, so it's easy for you to hop off without difficulty. The raft that you hop onto reacts to your weight and begins wobbling back and forth as you're the only occupant.
Okay.
I am a government servant, so I will just yeah, I'm not involved in this fight, so I will continue to drink my tea.
All right. Tice, you are also up in front. What would you like to do?
I'll try to stay out of the way. I'm not gonna get in the way of the arrows and shit and a giant tiger. But other than that, I'm just gonna drink my tea.
So currently it looks like there's the route where the route is up or something. They think that we have it's gone to a combat where they definitely think that we have the spear.
Yes, he definitely thinks you have the spear.
Okay, I'll still be calmly sipping my tea as I sort of like have a single tea drop out of my eye come out as I see the tea fall into the ground.
You know what? I will allow you to sacrifice your entire action to try and rescue that tea if you can make an agility plus acrobatics check.
No. This is for it's okay.
Okay.
He will just he will look up and be like, this is not a fight that is honorable at all. You're the man that you've been following this whole year is nothing but a coward, and he's been hiding a murder in the hospital this whole entire time of what's her of a young woman. I don't know what her name is, but
None of you do. All you know is that she was one of the people that had the yin yang symbol with the skull. One of the spirit speakers, little necromancer kind of people.
I think I got her name. Was it Abashi? That was her name.
Yes, Abashi, death in her hands.
yes, he murdered Abashi with his own hands and hid her body this whole time. What kind of honorable man is that? would you, as I asked you once you before, do you follow the man or do you follow the title? I'm basically attacking his composure.
And there is a reasonable chance you would have heard of Ibashi if you want to make an appropriate roll.
What to know who that is?
Yes.
What would that be? Just
Cunning plus scholarship, probably.
Okay.
That's just off my top of my head, my like default remembering things roll. But
There
you
you
could
go.
argue other things.
I got a 1, but
Yeah, you've heard her name. She was a big shot, but you don't really know much about her. The name rings a bell somehow.
well, we've revealed a significant amount of stuff to this guy at this point. So I'm interested at this point in drinking my tea. He showed us those papers, right?
Yes,
They're like out somewhere, right?
they're like in his belt. Yeah,
Okay,
you can see them.
I'm gonna go ahead and take those and swap them with a bunch of junk papers that I have in my pack.
Awesome. Are you doing this with a talent, or are you rolling for it?
I'm going to use misdirection, and I'm just going to do the swap. I'm going to stand up, spill the tea, and the scalding tea comes towards him. And then, as a government official, I'm not involved in this fight. I'm going to like bump into him and push him out of the way and say, it's like you've made the platform unstable. Says you'll get scalding tea everywhere. It's like, I urge you again. There's no reason to fight over this. And I just swap the papers at that point.
Okay.
If you insist on fighting, I will leave the field. You have.
He was sitting
official
calmly having
jurisdiction.
tea too. It was your party that fired an arrow at him.
I know. Yeah, this is not gone very well for the conversationalist for sure.
But yeah, you feel like he really just wasn't even paying attention to the conversation. He was saying some words. Like he even brought like notes and he read the notes and then just tossed them in the water. So,
Yeah, that's fair.
All right, you now have the papers, and he has some junk notes on probably
on government ethics.
Awesome.
I say I will extricate myself from this conflict. Let it be known that you did not initiate hostility, and the government will vouch for that if called upon. And I start to move away from the fight.
All right. Your options for moving away are fairly limited. The chain of rafts goes north. It's quite some distance where there are other cavalry cats waiting. And it goes south, 3 whole rafts south until you reach the edge where the water is now flowing through a gap created in the wall.
I'm gonna head towards the cavalry cats.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not a hostile combatant. I'm gonna make it look as much as I can as if I'm terrified that fighting has ensued, and as a government scholar, I need to get the fuck out of there. So I'm gonna panic and run towards the guards. They haven't really overheard our conversation anyway. So from their perspective, I'm just running to the dudes that are bound to win this.
You're running to the safety of the guard while some crazy barbarian fires arrows in your direction. It's perfectly reasonable.
Yeah, it's perfectly reasonable. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that.
Let's shift over to Troy. Troy, how'd your roll to stay standing go? Or did you root yourself?
Was I doing that, or? That's what I was asking earlier. So everyone
Yeah.
off to the side needed to roll acrobatics to stay?
Yes. Or in your case, root yourself if you want to.
Yeah, I mean, it's 1 stamina, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so I just backed up against the wall and basically went solid against it for a moment.
All right. Yeah, you root yourself in. The water washes over you. Let's see how Sinlan does. Sinlan goes over the side. Callista stays. We'll learn of Sinlan's fate later. So the water is not going to abate quickly, but you now, by rooting yourself, you've got good footing. So you're not at risk of being swept over anymore. What would you like to do?
Okay, so the water's just kind of pouring over now.
Yeah, he looks like he had rigged the stones at the top to give way at the pull of the cord, and then he pulled that cord, which disrupted. It disrupted Callista, but she's now doing the splits over that gap, and the water flowing over is just pouring down the stairs in a torrent. Sinlan is tumbling down the stairs with the flow of the water.
Okay, so do I feel like I can unroot and walk now? Like it seems like.
Yeah, the initial surprise and burst and stones are gone, and now it's just a steady flow of water that's predictable.
Okay. So I'll I guess pull myself away from the wall.
On the other side of the wall, there is very deep water that you can swim into if you want to try and stay out of combat, or lots of options. You can run along the wall. I don't know where that gets you exactly, but yeah.
So how does if I'm saying every time I root it costs stamina, so it would be every time I disconnect from the wall, that would be like a new route.
Yeah, so if you disconnect the wall to reposition yourself and then reroute to handle something new, but this one routing has solved your initial problem. You could just stay rooted. You don't necessarily need to leave. You're in a nice safe spot. No one knows you're here.
Yeah, I do want to keep the spear hidden, but at the same time I want to do stuff. So when I looked over, just to remember kind of the map of the what is actually up there, they were all in the center raft chain, and then there were all additional raft chains. How long are these raft chains?
Very long. They go all the way across the entire reservoir to the other side. One of the raft chains to the east, actually, before you even get to the next raft train to the east, there is a group of rafts that have been tilted down into the water and have been sealed up next to each other somehow, such that the water's not able to flow in, and it's creating a tunnel of empty air that goes down into the water. You can see that the water is not flowing into the rafts there.
I'm finding that hard to picture. So it's like there's no water at all, so it's really deep, or?
Yeah, so picture that along the side of the wall, some rafts are sticking kind of upright out of the water in a square, and the middle of that square, there's no water.
So a dam.
Basically, they figured out where the shield is.
I don't know if that's a shield.
Yeah, it's I mean, from a purely practical standpoint, this looks like a way that you can safely do repairs without the water, like without having to dive into the water. You can shield out a section and then somehow pump the water out of that section, and then you have a dry space to do work on what would otherwise be underwater.
Yeah, so they've sanctioned off this area, but this reservoir was realistically like very deep, right? Like we had 100
like 100 feet deep, yeah.
Yeah, so that hole is 100 feet deep.
Potentially, you can only see the top of it.
Just I would be able to somewhat possibly surmise that it's that. How far away is that?
Like maybe 40, 50 feet. It's 40 feet. Yeah, it's pretty close. You could run over there if you want to. To do that, though, you would have to get up on the wall, which would make you visible.
Yeah, so that the architecture that's around the side of this, is that going along that side? Could I run along that?
Yes.
Or attempt to? It's supposed to be able to hold heavy water, right?
Yeah. It's a pretty thick wall, and it's holding the water quite well. It's also made of stone that's been mortared together, and it's got a bunch of wooden scaffolding connected to it for a bunch of things that are not this high up. The scaffolding doesn't quite reach this height, but it's pretty close. It's just a little bit under your current height.
Okay, so I wouldn't be able to height reach the top if I was running on the scaffolding, but I would be able to run along the scaffolding.
Yeah, you could run along the scaffolding.
I want to run along the scaffolding, and I want to attempt to jump up later. That's what I want to do.
All right, so yeah, this is going to be some acrobatics. The scaffolding, remember, the scaffolding is running away from. It's not like running along; it's running away from to hold up all of the aqueducts. There's lots of aqueducts in a sequence along it, so you can jump from aqueduct to aqueduct, but it's not like a smooth path.
And those are now currently completely covered in water.
Well, no, they're at a small trickle right now. They've been set on a low setting. The apertures that are allowing water out of the reservoir onto them are not fully open. They're just open a little bit. Now, the section you're on, where the stairs, yes, there's lots of flowing water there because the top of the wall has been knocked off.
Okay, I have a better understanding of how that went now. I was figuring like a whole long section was destroyed, but he just destroyed the gate area. It was where we came up.
Just over top of the stairs. It looks like he was really intending it to, if you guys were hostile, to attack people that were on the stairs. And he got lucky that Gallisto was taking a shot while standing on it.
Got it.
Since she's now standing splits over his already sprung trap, you do not believe her next shot will suffer any penalties.
All right. So I will try to the aqueducts that those are reasonably big. I think they could support weight.
Yep.
Okay, so I want to jump along those to get to where I'm headed, which is that blocked off area. And so I would just do acrobatics to do that.
Yep. Agility plus acrobatics, which I know you're quite good at.
Can I reasonably use a trait for this?
Let's look at your traits.
So I took I didn't put it up for discussion, but we can discuss it. I took Fine on my own for when we were in the mansion and I was just leaping into a hole and not worrying about anything, and then I handled myself in the room by myself and all that. So if I attempt to do something on my own kind of thing.
Party, do you think that's a deserved and earned trait?
I mean, he did go into the mansion on his own and basically just it almost it caused complications because he went in on his own. So I'd say yeah. I mean
all right.
Because he caused this problem.
Yeah. It caused us to almost kill each other. So
All right. With a hop, skip, and a jump, you're over there.
All right, where does that put me on the wall height if I was doing the aqueducts? Does that put me reasonably, or basically, I can get into the thing when I want to?
Yeah, you can just climb over the wall now if you want to.
Okay, so I want to do that as like quickly as possible and just kind of like get to
Hop
the rafts
over and then duck
hang,
down inside the other.
duck down into it and see like if I can hide behind those rafts and see how far down this thing goes and all that.
All right. There is light at the bottom of it, so you can see that it goes all the way down to the floor, 100 feet, and then there is a horizontal tunnel branching off of that, heading back towards where your party is. Also, that light is being held by a guy riding a cat. It looks like there's more of them behind. Their cats are clinging to the inside of the wall, waiting in ambush.
Inside this tunnel?
Yes, they did not expect you to jump into their little hiding place, but they were waiting here in ambush for a signal.
And they're at the bottom though, right? They're not like right under me.
They're along the sides of the wall from the bottom up to about about where you are, just a little underneath you.
Okay, can I?
Looks like 12 of them in total.
Okay, would that end what I want to do, or can I do anything else from here?
You've done quite a lot this turn,
Okay.
I think.
I'll wait. Oh. That's
All
fair.
right. The commander, of course, he now tries to pull himself together and mount up on his cat. Cats are medium cooperative to this, so he's going to make an animal handling check. Oh, he nails it. Flying colors. So yeah, his cat just totally does a spin in the air, and while it's upside down, he grabs onto the saddle and follows it with a spin and lands in the saddle upright, drawing his great hooked spear. That is, however, his entire action, is pulling off that acrobatic feat. But with a whistle, he has signaled that his other cat people should leap into action. And so approaching from behind him are the 4 cat cavalry guys who go just right past you, Ed, just like you're not even there. They just kind of leap over you and keep on going. Troy, where you are, they hear the signal, but they're surprised by your presence kind of in their way. And their weapons are not ideally suited for close quarters. One of them is going to leap at you with his cat, but it's basically just the cat using its claws. For an entire 1 success. This is not the situation that they trained for fighting. So you can take the 1 tax of damage, or you can do something to try and mitigate it. If you try to mitigate, that's basically your turn, but you could potentially just block this hole and block all 12 of their reinforcements.
I'm planning on trying to do something with this hole, so I'll just take the damage.
All right. Miles. He has mounted his cat and is rearing up. Gallista is aiming another shot at him. What would you like to do?
Can I narrate while moving back towards the bank of the reservoir?
Yes. You've already moved 1 raft back. So you're further away than your tea-making hero.
All right. I would like to continue to move back. And I'm really hoping Musashi kind of gets the memo that we probably don't want to be in the middle of the reservoir, but he may have his own plans. I really don't know. But I'll say that's a fancy parlor trick that you played just there with your, with your collapsing area. But I'll have you know that you will not get that lucky again, for phasing through somebody is merely the least of Gallista's abilities. And I'm moving off to the side as I do this, and I'm saying, Callista can seek a single enemy, strong and true, and she can, in fact, root them in place. She can make it so that they cannot move so that they are bound to where they are struck. Is that really what you wish to bind? Is that really the fate that you wish to befall you? Because I will tell you right now that fate befalling you in the middle of a body of water is certain doom.
All right. Are you attacking his composure, or are you powering up Callisto?
I'm powering up Callisto.
Awesome. Callista likes the idea of delivering certain doom.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I'm just rolling my my potential here, right?
Yeah, and again, you only need one success to pull this off, as it's a first. Oh no, I'm sorry, binding. What is binding? Going for total immobility, right? Like binding roots. I'm so not up on my druid spells.
This be just like entangle.
Yeah, what's entangle? That's a good one. That second circle.
Yeah, it's pretty powerful. I mean,
I
in
think
old
so.
D&D, but in old D&D, priests only
In
had 7
fifth
circles.
edition, it's first circle.
Yeah, the last druid I played it was first circle, but it may have been something else. I don't know previously.
It may have been first circle. Yeah, I don't remember. It's been a
Yeah,
long
I mean, if
time.
it's
That's
just
what
giving
fifth edition is saying.
giving him a penalty to his dice when he is attempting to move, then that would be kind of a first circle kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's first level conjuration in 5th edition.
There we go. All right, first circle.
Just good because I got one success.
All right, well, that was the number of successes you needed. All right, Callista fires her arrow. Okay, and he is again using his riding ability here. Which is not nearly as good as his ability to set traps and plan strategies. So, yeah, she pins him in place. Roots, I guess, grow out of the barge that he's on, or something. It's up to you. It's your spell.
Yeah, basically, it's if possible, roots grow out from the arrow. They entangle him, and then they plunge towards the bottom of the reservoir. They may not be doing anything yet, but my end goal is for him to basically panic. Again, if possible. I don't know if that fits with the role.
All right, and he's taking 4 attacks. Very good. Ed, what would you like to do?
So I'm pretty much clear of this now, right? Like people have kind of gone past me.
They've jumped on past you.
Have they left anything behind? Or are they kind of
Barges. A chain of these little floating rafts.
Hmm. And they're leaping from raft to raft on cats, right?
Yep.
Um,
Cats which are not super plussed to be near all this water.
Are the rafts all connected to each other?
Yes, by heavy chains. The edges of the rafts look like they've been treated with pitch, such that if they're pulled together tight enough, it forms a watertight seal.
Gotcha. So I would like to attempt to... So I want to give penalty dice to the guys riding on cats jumping raft to raft by yanking around on chains to make the rafts unstable if they're on. But I want to do it in such a way that makes it look like I'm just a moron and I'm having trouble navigating on the rafts, as opposed to actually actively attempting to assist in combat.
Okay. Part of me wants to say performance plus agility, but
I'm happy with that,
Yeah.
like a lot. So I can do performance and agility. If I end up taking a tumble into the water, that sucks. But you know, it is what it is.
yeah, you don't want to fall, and you don't want them to think you're doing anything on purpose. You want to mess with them as much as possible.
Yeah.
Okay. You manage not to fall, and you manage not to arouse suspicion, and you have a success left over. So they're shaken a little bit, penalized by a die.
That's fair. I'm not a Phaethon. I'm just a normal human being, so I have to roll within the parameters of what normal human beings are capable of doing.
Phaethon might be kind of broken. Tice. You had asked if your talk did anything. It made sounds, but no, actually this guy is currently under fire by arrows, which are a more pressing concern. However, you are at close range with his mighty war cat, and he is now properly mounted. You don't know if you're a priority target or if he's going after the lady firing the sapling-sized arrows at him.
That'd be my guess, but the tea maker's probably less important than the mobile artillery platform, but you never know.
Yeah. The mobile artillery platform did get a nice hit in on him, which is starting to root him to the spot.
Yeah, you said that most of the time the cat is the one that is controlled, not the rider, right?
Yeah, in this case, this guy appears to have only an average person's control over his pet cat. So, as any cat owner will tell you, that's not great. You haven't had a lot of experience up here, but you imagine that most generals are well renowned for their prowess in battle, and they ride their cats with great skill, whereas this guy seems to be more a tactician. He's a really good tactician, probably an amazing tactician, but he's sort of let his cat riding skill fall by the wayside.
Misashi will be still stirring his tea, and he will push over a giant bowl of like a wonderful smelling tea, and he'll be like it's like he'll sort of like look at the cat, not the rider, and be like, this is not something you wish to do right now. You're wild, a proud cat. I believe you deserve something more than this, and yet I offer this gift of peace for you as I empower its cat side as I try to appeal to the animal, not the rider.
I just looked at your character sheet and realized you have a taming of 4. Well, hot damn. Yeah, do your taming plus empathy. See if you can get control of his cat from him.
Let's see here. Does anything lower my threshold? course, I'll use since we've had a rest. I got to reset my perception, so I'll put my threshold back to 5 with omissions for this.
Okay.
And I don't think I have any pips for the tea, do I? For us offering.
I mean, that is what you're trying to tempt the cat with, is some tasty smelling thing. Yeah, that makes sense.
What would that be? 4?
What's the quality of your tea set?
8.
Yeah, so that would be 8 pips.
I'm guessing none of my let's see, hardworking or honesty or respectful work here.
No, this is neither respectful nor honest. Oh, no. That's okay. I spend the entire time I record these in constant fear that Nut will just, like, run over to the power cable and attack it with her claws. Turn off my whole computer. In fact, she's getting a little excited right now, so I'm just going to let her out.
You can see her just jumping all over the place.
And while I'm up, caffeine.
Okay, I'll be back in a second.
This has been running pretty long. I kind of thought we'd be done with this fight earlier than this.
Yeah, I need to go soon.
Yeah. I think we're at an interesting, at least, sort of cliffhanger, if nothing else. Troy about to be mauled by cats. Everybody's sort of standing roughly apart. The main cat cavalry hasn't quite engaged yet. So let's go ahead and do a cliffhanger stop so that we don't end up staying here till 3 a.m. I'm deeply hoping that Kite can come back for closing ceremony.
Yeah.
And you guys are not in a really awful situation. Like, his trap sprung, but it sprung not the way he expected it to. Gallista's still standing. He's rooted, and Ed has the paperwork.
Yeah, so it's generally okay.
Also, what did I get with the 8 successes?
You got 8 successes? I mean, he didn't have enough dice to beat you, but he also rolled poorly. So, let's see. So that is 6 successes against his cat. Yeah, the cat is non-functional. Whatever catnip you've given it has taken priority.
Yeah, it just sits down and starts licking from the bowl.
Well, I'm guessing Kite can hear us at least, right?
Yeah, I'm on my phone.
Oh, okay, perfect. So let's go ahead and do closing ceremony, and then we will pick up right in the middle of this combat, like a Greek epic poem.
Yes. So I'd like to give a point to Echelon for of course his great. Who's just like, oops, oh sorry, I spilled this tea. Let me just I accidentally grabbed the papers that we need. Thank you, without the guys realizing it. I want to give one to Miles for the. What if I told you bolt to your face right now? It's like he's not playing a Thar right now, but he's somehow still a Thar in Bard form. I like to give one to Kite for basically jumping into an ambush pit, just like more realistic in our game.
Whoa, robot voice. Did that get weird for anyone other than me?
Yeah, it was super rude.
That was weird.
Yeah, I couldn't hear anything. You got all robotic.
Okay, here.
Yeah, still the same. Better? No, not better.
I don't hear anything right now. Does someone else want to go while he's getting that sorted? Seems like the internet is just going nuts everywhere tonight. And in fact, it seems like I lost internet connection now. Holy crap. Test, test. Can you hear me? Test, test. Anybody?
Mine still hasn't come up. I'm sending packets and I haven't got anything back.
It's
Yeah.
the darkest timeline.
Well, last night I was playing Overwatch and Discord just went down completely for everybody.
Hello.
I think I'm back.
We
Yeah,
can
you're
hear
back.
you guys. Dave,
Yay,
you'll have
okay.
your video is loading on mine anyway.
Yeah, I think OBS and Discord are having an argument over who's controlling the camera right now.
Yeah.
But that's okay. So we'll just go ahead and finish up. I think Tice, you were giving out points. Please tell me we're still on.
I could say.
I thought I just heard Tice.
I can't hear Tice.
No, I can't.
Yeah.
All right. Somebody else want to go ahead and give up points?
Yeah, I can go. So to Tice for having a tea ceremony with a dude with a gigantic cat. I think that's just gotta stick to your guns. And then Tice was the one that realized that he had taming. Also good. Troy for again just kind of hanging out. and just continuing to not be seen. That was pretty good. And then Heldren for putting your hand on the sword when I was like, okay, guys, I'm going to tell you something. I haven't been completely honest with you. You're like, all right, probably a villain. Might have to kill you. Nothing personal. It's just how we roll. So that was pretty good character. And then I guess what is Jackie's character's name?
Fena.
Fena. Yeah. So to Fena, for just making it ridiculous, like just for the dice. I mean, like, holy shit, she rolled 32 goddamn dice. Like, that's just insane. It wasn't just her, but like, just putting the crap on the table. She made like whoever got that tattoo. So that's a good tattoo. So
Awesome. All right. Yeah, I'll go next. I had pretty much the same thing for Venom, obviously. I mean, she wasn't here for part of the session, but for the part that she was here, she threw down a 32 dice roll, which that's
just walk in, throw it down, and go.
It's the most dice I've ever seen in a single roll. So that was pretty incredible. For Draven, you got a sick new weapon, you got a sick new corresponding tattoo with a bunch of cool abilities, and you immediately use the ability to save yourself from plummeting over a cliff. So all in all, I'd say that's a pretty connected and badass series of events that collectively certainly warrant an experience. To Nergui for securing our papers of safe passage. I originally had something else, but the fact that we're able to secure our papers of safe passage without them ever knowing was really kind of solves the whole dilemma here, minus the fact that we now are in combat. But we've secured our objective pretty much no matter what happens. So that's pretty badass. And then for Musashi, for the most out of left field badass roll I've yet seen. I've seen a lot of people put down, 8 to 10 dice or whatever on things that we all kind of collectively knew they were badass at. Like you'll see a diplomat be like, yeah, I'm going to throw down this hardcore persuasion roll, or a fighter be like, I'm going to throw down this hardcore melee vigor roll. But I'm going to go ahead and assume that everyone was as in the dark as I was to the fact that you are apparently great at taming. So it wasn't just that you threw down an incredibly timely badass 8 success taming roll. It's also that I don't think anybody except you even realized that you had the capacity to do that, which made it all the more kind of cinematic and badass as it happened.
Testing, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, so I was trying to finish to say was I was giving one to Kite for basically jumping in the hole, because I was saying that it seems like our bards are more the reckless people in this group than the heroes are in the Thars group. And yes, I want to give a point to Mini Beast for our awesome co-op tattoo / the tattoo making, where she rolled so many dice. It was beautiful.
All right. Troy, I think you have yet to go.
Yeah. Almost there. Almost have internet again. Maybe. Okay. So let's see. I lost some of my data to be able to say this stuff. For Musashi, that he suggested stabbing the spear in the ground as like kind of a circle of life kind of thing. Like he had that whole plan of seeing what it was going to do, like kind of knowing what was going to happen, and then using that to like enhance the tattoo itself. So it was like that spear had a full circle event, which was really cool. And it expands like how much you're really thinking about what you're putting into each tea brewing. It's not just like I'm making tea and everyone drinks it. Ed, is it Nigri? Is yours food?
Nergui.
Nergui. Okay, I keep hearing Nigiri, and it's fantastic. So anyway, you have so much stuff from the fight that's fantastic. But I'm gonna go back to the non-fight for you anyway. I'm gonna go back to where you actually shared your backstory, because that kind of like setup of information was really nice to hear from all that stuff going on. Also set up kind of a weird dynamic with the characters, and a nice conversation with Heldrin, where he's constantly trying to make his point despite you making yours, which I've been on the side of a couple times. But it's nice the character dynamic that got established really quick, and it was a good fit in and everything, and it was cool to hear all of it. For Venatori, the roll was awesome. And what was the highest we ever did with that super assist on the for Gareth, right, for the Beholder hit? Wasn't that?
That's pretty high, yeah.
Yeah, that was high.
I think it was 22 dice is what it was. So we've trumped that by 10 dice.
Yeah, like, because the other one, like, I know Wuthar, when he was fighting the Ogre Chieftain, there was a really assisted roll, but definitely wasn't 32. It was a lot less than that.
Gareth had a big one on the Beholder, but it definitely wasn't that big. So this is the biggest one I've probably ever had. It was awesome. But despite that, it's more that this is a product of her being a tattoo artist. But the amount of effort she's putting into explaining them and like kind of describing them, and then we can use that later to kind of describe it ourselves for when we use the abilities, is really cool. So I really like the amount of effort she's putting into it, that it's not just again, like the same with the T stuff, it's not just a nothing kind of thing. That, and I'm missing Heldrin. You did a lot of back talking, which was great this time. Not back talking, I guess. You did a lot more of in your face with this guy, but you definitely get it for the like impromptu. Oh, we're between them and the archer. Let's just make shit go through someone. And so the impromptu magic missile and or like seeking target and or not transporting, not transparent, whatever it would be to go through an object. Idea was really good. So definitely for your ideas for how Ballista could hit. You made me change her name. How Ballista could hit them was very good. That's it for me.
All right. Is that everybody? I think that's everybody. I want to personally just give a little honorable mention to Tice. So, I mean, all of you deserve some mad props just for the fact that my opening page of my notes was "Party leaves town," and that didn't happen until I think we were about 2 hours in, which is pretty awesome. And that's like, you guys created so much content just by assembling the tattoo. But I really want to highlight how different that fight would have been if anyone other than Tice had walked up the stairs. The plan for that fight, right? The layout was, you guys are halfway up the stairs, except for like one or two of you are at the top, but you end up being driven back down the stairs by this guy and his cat army, and the fight is mostly among the scaffolding. To have this fight actually on the lake is awesome, and it's purely because the opening move was a tea ceremony. Culturally, these guys can't. I mean, guy was offering tea. He had to sit down, and now the whole fight is an entire like 50 feet forward and 100 feet in the air from where it would have been previously. So props to you for keeping that character rolling like that, and for just plodding on when everyone was trying to plan strategy. It's made this interesting now in ways that I hope it would have still been an interesting fight, but now it's in terrain that's it's cats on water. What could go wrong, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It was. I guess it was good. I guess the council was right about bringing a team maker to the thing, even though I can't fight really.
All right. Well, I need to get some sleep. I'm very glad that this is a recording because the internet has been wacky today.
Yeah.
So I will see you guys tomorrow at the bar.
Yep.
All right. Have a good one, guys.
Good night.
Adios.